Well, I'll say this: as long as we're playing hard, and I thought we did that tonight. I really, really did. And I'll give St. John's credit. In the 2 games we played this year, those guys can make difficult shots. I mean, from the pull-ups, the runners, the step backs. I mean, they make really difficult shots, and that's what we just kept talking in timeouts of just stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. And I thought our guys did that.
Tonight was another team effort. Thought everybody that played helped gut this game out. That team plays hard, man, and we couldn't really get nothing going down the stretch from an offensive standpoint in terms of movement. We became stagnant, and somehow I got to help us when we get in that rut. But our defense was solid, and we just kept grinding, and we got stops when we needed it. We could have done better on the boards because we were off on that area. We knew coming into the game, rebounding and not turning it over against their pressure will allow us to stay in the game or win the game, and I thought we did a pretty good job in that area.
It's very important. I think that was the last team in the Big Ten that I hadn't beaten. We got Wisconsin earlier this year, but they're a tough team, and credit to them. They always bring it. The RAC's probably the toughest place to play in that I personally played in, but they have a lot of pieces. Caleb's great. I remember when they used to have Miles Johnson. He was a monster. Big Cliff's a really great player. They have a lot of pieces around them, and just finally getting over that hump, and like Coach Woodson said, just getting the monkey off your back. It's big for us, and we just got to keep moving forward and just taking it one game at a time.
Good stuff. Wow, what a great day to be in the seat talking sports. So much good to discuss today. You have come to the right place. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. I'm Vince Welch. Former Colts defensive back Marlin Jackson is here. We're going to talk Colts, Super Bowl, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Oh, man, there's some crazy stuff going on. Producer Jimmy Cook here to make sure we don't go off the rails. Pacers are in Miami to play the Heat tonight. Pacers haven't won a road game since we were putting out milk and cookies for Santa Claus.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
They've struggled a little bit as of late, especially with Halliburton when he was out. Right, not be able to get too many wins, and hopefully they can get things turned around and going in the right direction because they really lost an opportunity, I felt, with how they started off, how they were playing, and then things fell off the rails when Halliburton went out and not able to really regain form. Hoping they can do so here shortly.
Yeah, they need it. We'll talk with Kristen Airy, probably from the beach, to see if tonight's the night the blue and gold get another road dub. How about LeBron James broke Kareem's career NBA scoring record last night? Did you see that?
That was absolutely awesome. Didn't witness it firsthand, but just to understand the magnitude of an accomplishment like that, and just the expectations, and everybody in society, we've witnessed. We're talking about LeBron James, the king, from the time that he was in high school, and just the accolades and the expectations to be just as great as Michael Jordan, and for him to time and time again to step up and meet the mark and exceed the mark. Now we say exceed the mark literally when it comes to stats, right? And now even more so cemented as arguably the best basketball player of all time.
Yeah, it's a debate that will rage on for maybe forever, Michael or LeBron. But from a statistical standpoint, you can't argue LeBron. LeBron's not my favorite. I think that, he gets slapped on the arm. He acts like he's been shot. He rolls around on the ground. He's a little more of a complainer. Not my cup of tea. On a personal level from a fan's perspective. But, man, you cannot deny what he has done. And I think the most impressive thing from LeBron is that he was the anointed one in high school.
Exactly.
And he has lived up to it. And living up to it may be the greatest.
Difficult.
Oh, my goodness.
Extremely difficult to do so. And it was interesting that he is polarizing, though.
Yeah.
Like, as great as he is, there are two sides to the tale of how individuals feel about LeBron James. And it's all arguable, as most things are in society. But everybody does have their own sentiments and feelings towards how he may play the game, his impact on the game, and overall his greatness and where does he stack up against others.
You can't argue the fact, though, that he has been the greatest in the game currently, statistically, and he's also had no serious missteps off the court.
And all of that, and I take all of that in totality when I talk about LeBron James and my sentiments towards him, as someone who has come from a struggle, right? He grew up in Eastern Ohio. I grew up in the area, Youngstown, Ohio, Sharon, Pennsylvania, not far away from there. And to know what he's overcome and to what he's been, what he's gone on to accomplish, and in accomplishing, not forgetting where he's come from and everything that he does on the court and how great it is. It's even better everything that he does off the court and how he conducts himself and he carries himself professional, but he's still true to himself and he knows who he is, and then giving back what he's doing in the community with education, with housing. He just does so much as an entrepreneur and a philanthropist that, for me, that goes into the totality of when I say greatest, he's just one of the greatest people as an athlete of all time.
Yeah, he has earned it, but he is sharing it, which is important. And, of course, last night, as mentioned, broke Kareem's record. Here was the call from Brian Anderson on TNT.
Looking for James. He's got it. Coming to the end of the third quarter. LeBron James, a shot in history. And it is! LeBron stands alone! The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
I thought that was a great call from Brian Anderson last night. And from a fan's perspective, you might hear it one way, or you were watching the game, you saw it. From a broadcaster's perspective, a lot of times we look at and listen for how an announcer calls a critical moment. The one thing you don't want to do as an announcer is talk too much. Mm-hmm. But I thought Brian did a terrific job. He set the tone of what the moment was going to be. He described the moment. He put the period on the moment, and really maybe the exclamation point on the moment. But he didn't over talk.
Yeah,
he didn't clutter it with unnecessary words. Let's hear it again. Can we hear it one more time, Jimmy? And just listen to the efficiency in which he uses his words. It was beautiful.
Looking for James. He's got it. Coming to the end of the third quarter. LeBron James, a shot in history. And it is! LeBron stands alone! The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
Some interesting numerology about that, okay? LeBron, with that basket, that gave him 38,388 points. He's 38 years old. He broke Kareem's record, which had stood for 38 years.
Oh, wow. Symbolism, a lot of symbolism there.
And LeBron finished the game last night with 38 points.
Hey, it was his night, literally.
It was. Other than the fact that the Lakers lost.
That they lost, but his night. Night. Maybe not the team's night.
I'm going to nitpick on him just a little bit, though. He said during the course of the celebration, it was a perfect night.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't it have been a perfect night if they would have won? Does it matter that the Lakers didn't win? I mean,
well, not for LeBron.
No, it didn't. But what are we saying?
He said it. It was perfect for him. Through the context of the lens of, the accomplishment of the achievement, and to be able to do it at home. Although it wasn't a win, it still was a great ending for him to now put that to rest, because even just everyone tracking it, I'm sure that has to get tiresome. Yeah. Just the constant barrage of questions, of attention that's centered around the achievement that is to come.
Yeah.
And that can take, focus off of actually the team and the game at hand and winning.
Well, all the athletes that have pursued the big records have all expressed an incredible relief when it was over, because it is burdensome to carry it. So we'll break down that. We'll talk a little bit more about my era loved Kareem. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was phenomenal, and of course had the record prior to LeBron breaking it last night. So maybe look a little bit at Kareem. It was cool to see Kareem give the ball to LeBron last night, and the symbolism of that. Hey, how about the college hoops last night? Ball State won on the road. Butler squeaked one out at home in the most dramatic, some say controversial fashion.
Great for Butler. They needed it.
Ended a 5-game losing streak for Butler. And the Hoosiers did it. IU finally beat Rutgers. Big win for IU on multiple fronts, including Trace Jackson Davis going over the 2,000-point mark for his career. Man, he had a good
He is tearing it up right now.
Stephen Bardo was on the call last night from Assembly Hall, and he joins us now. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. Hey, great to have you with us. Good call last night. It was, I thought, an interesting game for Indiana from Indiana's perspective going in after the big win over Purdue. Yes. A little bit of fear about a letdown. And Mike Woodson said afterwards he thought they were a little bit lethargic. But what was your impression of what you saw from IU last night?
Well, I think sometimes coaches had pick to keep their guys sharp. I thought Indiana really came out with a lot of intensity, and they brought the fight to Rutgers. And I think, knowing that Trace Jackson Davis had never beaten Rutgers, there was some natural incentive there. And the way that they pressured Rutgers early in the game, brought the physicality, I thought they did an excellent job. And, it was fantastic to see the way that they came out and played and overcame some fear. After beating the number one team in the country, you're going to have a little bit of fear about whether you're going to come out and be ready to play, but they were certainly ready to play last night.
And as you reflect and you take a look at this season and the evolution of it, what do you see as the ceiling for IU basketball this season and how things are unfolding with the growth and maturity that we see with this team?
Well, I think when you see a team that, has had the ups and downs that Indiana's had, they've overcome injury. I think they've had more key injuries than any other Big Ten team thus far. And for them to be in this position right now, probably looking at second place and beating the number one team in the country under their belt, I think this is a second weekend team. It's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate Xavier Johnson back into the fold. We saw him yesterday. He's planning to return sometime in the regular season. We don't know exactly when. But when he comes back, and if that integration can be somewhat positive and non-jarring, Indiana's going to be dangerous.
Vince Welch and Marlin Jackson on the phone with Stephen Bardo, who called the IU-Rutgers game last night. IU 66, Rutgers 60. Stephen, Trace Jackson Davis, you get what you get from him. I mean, he never ceases to impress. I mean, last night, 20 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, his 44th double-double. I, however, think that the success of Indiana and whether Indiana is going to make any sort of run in the tournament doesn't necessarily rest on the shoulders of Trace Jackson Davis because he gives it every night. It's more of the guys around him. And last night, it happened to be Miller Kopp stepped up, hit 4 of 6 from three-point range, scored 18 points. I mean, that was huge for Indiana last night, I thought.
Yeah, it's been interesting because really the only team that's been able to put together consistent efforts on the road appears to be Purdue at this point. So Indiana's not unlike the rest of the teams in that jumbled bunch with Rutgers and Michigan. All these teams, they seem to struggle traveling that city that they bring it home.
Having some problems there with Steven's cell phone, so we'll see if we can make that connection a little bit better. Jimmy will try to connect with him again. We were talking, Marlon, we were talking about Miller Kopp and the 18 points, and when Indiana hits the perimeter shots, which they've struggled to do this season, it's amazing how much that opens up the interior and allows Trace or Race Thompson or whomever happens to be rolling the paint to get their job done.
And what you said earlier, and just in terms of Trace Jackson Davis and what he brings to the table, and he brings it every night. So we know what he brings to the table, but what's that other component? Like, what else is possibly missing, or who do we need to see step up? We've seen the young freshmen, the guards play well, but as we look at Indiana and you prepare for them to be able to make a run, you think, what else is missing? What else do they need to get over the hump? In terms of their guard play, and what you mentioned in terms of their shooting ability, and not always being efficient in doing so. Is that what will catch them up? To say, as the season moves forward, will it be an off shooting night? But will their defense be able to kind of supplement for poor shooting? I think they've done a little bit of that when they've needed, great defensive effort. When there was poor shooting, they've been able to step up on a defensive end and make some things happen. But it's fun to see evolution of collegiate players when they're able to stay for 3 or 4 years and not leave early when they have the ability. As we've seen with Trace Jackson Davis, he's been known as a dominant force, but it seems to be on another level and more consistent, I would say, this season.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting, and Steven's back with us. Steven, I thought it was interesting after the game last night, Trace was asked about his evolution, kind of as Marlon was addressing there, from his freshman year to his senior year. And I know you've been calling games a long time, played in the Big Ten, and you've seen it just about everything. How would you describe that evolution from Trace Jackson Davis as a freshman to the game he has now?
Well, I think that when you look at Trace, and, he came in as a tremendous athlete, but his body has changed, and that
we're just in a bad area there. You got a bad connection. All
right, well, just let Steven know. We'll catch up with him another time. I thought that it was interesting, and if you go from your freshman year to your senior year, and whether it's basketball or football or whatever,
the concept is the same.
You've got to get better. I mean, you've got to. You should be getting better. You should be a better player as a senior than you were as a freshman.
Right, but it's just when you are a guy that is talented. And there's talk early on of you being a guy that can leave early. Sometimes that can breed complacency, right? Where I'm uber talented, I'm one of the best. I can just go out there and I can get my buckets with my athleticism. And then sometimes those guys don't work as hard. So when you don't have the work with the talent, you don't see evolution. Where that he's been working, right? And I think Mike Woodson was one of the best things that could have happened to him, literally, right? Monetarily, his value has gone up, because I think you may have, at least for me, when I watched him early on, I asked him questions like, what level of an NBA guy is he? Like, and as he's continuing to evolve, and when I see him this season, it's like, okay, yeah, he's a legit, he can be a force, as a power forward in the NBA, or a small forward in the NBA with his skill set in terms of athleticism, but also just his moves around the bucket and his tenacity on the boards, and just he's playing with another level of confidence and energy, in my opinion.
Yeah, the motor is definitely there. What I worry a little bit about as he transitions to the next level, we don't see it, and not that he can't do it, but we don't see it currently within the IU system, is him stepping out and knocking down the jump shot.
And that's where he's been. I think there's constraints in the system.
Maybe he's knocking him down in practice, but within the constraints of the offense, he's not doing that. But that'll be the big step. I thought a couple of things were huge for Indiana last night. They go 8 minutes without a basket. And I thought in the second half, and I thought that there were times where I'm not sure that an Indiana team of a month and a half or 2 months ago would have withstood that. Yeah. And Indiana's now won 7 of the last 8. Woodson made the comment afterwards, our guys believe. Trace Jackson Davis said it's confidence, and those are the things that allow you to get through a dry spell like that and not crumble. They still were able to gather themselves up and finish.
Yep, and that's what it takes to be a championship team, is to be able to get on those runs, but it's also to be able to weather the storms of adversity. They've had some adversity, but I think there's still more to come. That's the nature of the Big Ten, whether it be football or basketball. It is a tough conference, and you're going to get beat up. And you mentioned on the road. Can you go on the road and win? That's where championships will be won. Is particularly thinking about when they go up to West Lafayette and they play Purdue, and if they're able to have that same level of intensity, because we saw they really fed off of that home crowd this past weekend. And I think that crowd had a lot to do with the effort and energy that we saw displayed on that court.
Yeah. And we're going to find out about Indiana on the road because, 6 regular season games left. 4 of them are on the road. They go up to Ann Arbor to take on your Wolverines on Saturday, then at Northwestern, home against Illinois, at Michigan State, at Purdue.
There's some tough
and then home
ones
against Iowa.
Up.
I mean, the schedule, it's never easy in conference play anyway.
Right.
I mean, even the home games are tough. But then you go on the road to places like Michigan. I mean, Northwestern is, used to be that. You
East
chalk
Lansing.
that up as a win, but you can't do that anymore. Izzo and Michigan State. I mean, Purdue.
Always tough.
It's going to be a challenging road the rest of the way for Indiana. But the Hoosiers have won 7 of the last 8. They finally beat Rutgers after losing 6 in a row. Rutgers was out without one of their better players, who's out with an ACL, but still, I thought Indiana did what they had to do. Big win for the Hoosiers to come back off that emotional high of beating Purdue and to get the job done last night at home.
I would say that's the one of the most impressive aspects of it is that you just came off an enormous win at home against your rival, where that it's kind of a trap game, the game after that, right? Where, we're feeling ourselves and, we're the big men on campus and our chest is out and it's easy to get full of yourself when you have that success. But to then see them come right back out and to fight and to get another W at home, that's how you really, really, in my opinion, breed confidence. And what Coach Woodson said, it breeds belief, and belief is a very powerful tool as you move forward through a difficult stretch, as you mentioned, with 4 of their last games being on the road.
Trace Jackson Davis is going to get the headlines along with Miller Kopp, and justifiably so. I mean, Trace over 2,000 points now. By the way, that puts him 6th on the all-time scoring list, and we'll touch on that here in a moment. Kopp with the 18 points. But I thought they got some good minutes from some other guys that you may not notice in the box score. Trey Galloway, that rebound. He got a rebound basket with under a minute to play, which was huge, put Indiana up 7, and I thought there was a time there where you kind of felt like even though they were up 5, they could be faltering. They miss a shot. He gets the rebound, gets the basket, gets fouled. Didn't make the free throw, but it still was a big momentum move for Indiana, and just got some good efforts from a lot of different players last night that led them to that win.
Yeah, agreed. And it was a total team effort as it should be, because we may mention Trace Jackson Davis a lot, but it's those little plays, those small plays, those rebounds, those steals, the big shot and the big moment, the unexpected, right? You always need those types of plays from your role players in order to be successful. And IU is getting that right now. And not only is the success of Trace Jackson Davis a part of that and Coach Woodson, but it's other guys buying into their roles, going out, playing with the effort and the energy and intensity that's needed to win, and allowing the team to be successful as a whole.
Trace Jackson Davis, we mentioned, moved into 6th place on the all-time scoring list. Mike Woodson, his coach, is ahead of him. Colbert Chaney, number 1 on that list. Steve Alford, number 2. Don Schlunt, number 3. And for those of you young of age, don't remember Don, but he was a phenomenal player back in the 50s. No three-point game back then, but he was a 6'10". And imagine that, scoring all of those points without the three-point line. And not that Trace gets a lot of three-pointers, but it was a different era back then. But the games didn't score. The total score of a team wasn't what it is today either.
And I'm sure the style of play, the pace, everything is just evolved.
Yeah, Don Schlunt was a terrific, terrific player for Indiana. Won the national championship with the Hoosiers in 53. And this is what a different era was. When it came time after college, he went into business instead of going into play professional ball. Nowadays you would never, ever make that decision. A.J. Guyton, fourth on the list, who is just a phenomenal player. And then Woodson is fifth. Trace Jackson Davis is sixth. So as mentioned, Indiana will play at Michigan on Saturday. How about Butler last night? So Butler has lost 5 in a row going into this game last night against St. John's and trailed most of the game last night. It ended up being tied with a couple of minutes to go. By the way, second game in a row that Butler's played without Chuck Harris, who's obviously one of their outstanding players, one of their top scorers. Butler had a couple of turnovers in the final minute, missed a couple of free throws in the final seconds, and I thought, man, they're going to blow, they're going to throw this thing away. Yeah. And managed to hold on.
We'll say hold on or pull through. Hold on or pull through.
If you didn't see it, Butler's up 2 with less than a second to play, and St. John's has the basketball underneath their own goal, and I think there was 0.8 on the clock. I think so. They throw a pass. St. John's throws a pass in trying to lob it to their center in the middle to just catch and drop it in. And the Butler inbound, the Butler player who was guarding the inbound, and I'm drawing a blank on who it was, but he tipped it. And, of course, that immediately starts the clock. So by the time that the St. John's player caught it and then just tossed it, basically tapped it toward the basket, originally, they counted the basket, went to the instant replay, looked at it, and determined that the ball was still on the edge of the fingertips of the St. John's player when the clock went 0.
So a little luck.
Mike Anderson, the St. John's coach, was not very happy.
So I thought they were thinking home cooking.
Yeah.
home cooking right there.
But, and it goes to show, and Marlon, you know this, I mean, the smallest thing can make the biggest difference.
Yep.
Tipping that inbound pass. That started the clock. If he wouldn't have tipped it and the clock wouldn't have started until the St. John's player caught it, that basket counts and we go to overtime.
That's the lesson, especially for young players, man. I mean, young athletes that I see. I have 3 young boys, and we play basketball and football and baseball, and that's one of the things that we always preach is effort, energy. Like, you can be talented, but the guys that are really going to stick out are the effort guys. The guys that are going to make those winning plays are the guys that play with the most effort. And that was literally such a small but big play and moment. And, I think you heard Coach Datmata speak about staying the course and the effort. That's what he was proud of. And at times we've heard him saying the opposite, that the effort wasn't at the level that it needs to be, that the intensity wasn't at a level that it needs to be. So in terms of psychologically and the culture that they're trying to build, you need those types of plays and you need those types of wins to breed that confidence that can kind of turn a tide in terms of getting the program to go in the right direction.
Yeah, that was a big win for Butler last night. Hey, you mentioned your kids. I want to talk about the NFL Pro Bowl showcase, whatever that was.
Game show showcase.
Because you were telling me earlier before we came on the air, your kids loved it, and a lot of people hated it because it wasn't what we used to have and blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Aaron Rodgers is going to go on a darkness retreat. Sean Payton says Russell Wilson can't have his private coaches in the locker room around the facility. A lot of football stuff to talk about. We'll do that with Marlon Jackson when we come back. I'm Vince Welch, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Payless Liquors can help make your Valentine's Day special and save you money. Payless is teaming up with Maker's Mark, Woodford, and Romeo Juliet wines for tastings, chocolate pairings, and even flower giveaways. Just go to PaylessLiquors.com or follow on Facebook for times and dates. Plus, all 26 family-owned Payless stores have the Kuiper Variety 4-packs for only 99 cents. Fireball Hearts are only $8.99, and Canadian Club in the 1.75-liter bottle is only $14.99. This Valentine's Day, don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Reinhardt Heating and Cooling. Owner Danny Reinhardt says putting his kids in charge of more of the day-to-day operations of the business was the plan all along.
It makes me really proud that I know that I can turn it over to my family and they can take care of things, and I've got all the confidence in the world in them. And that's the legacy I'm proud to leave.
A great family-owned business, Reinhardt Heating and Cooling, 317-745-4526. Reinhardt, your trusted local independent American Standard dealer.
Think you have the best sports trivia knowledge? Listen to Kevin and Query weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. and call into the pop quiz for your chance to win a signature Jiffy Lube oil service and tickets to see the Ball State men's basketball team take on Bowling Green this Saturday.
Hey, it's Dan Dockage for Affinity Whole Health. Guys, do something for yourselves. Go to feelgreatindy.com. I'm on a testosterone replacement program with Affinity. Let me tell you, the benefits are amazing. Go to feelgreatindy.com. That's feelgreatindy.com.
Fed Chair Powell said home values will likely continue to erode for some time. Now is the smart time to lock in your home's current higher value, get paid in cash, and not have to move. Learn more at truehold.com.
The Ride with JMV.
Matt Painter joins us. How does it feel to be over that 400 mark?
You just move to the next game. It's really not that big a deal. Obviously, we've had some really good players at Purdue and some really good coaches. The thing that I like is I think we're continuing to get better. Our program's getting better. Product's getting better. We're doing a better job of evaluating and bringing guys in here that fit. It makes it enjoyable. It makes it fun. This is a fun group to coach.
The Ride with JMV.
Weekdays 3 to 6.
On 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I see the moon rising.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, great to have you with us. Thanks for spending part of your day with us here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan, along with Marlin Jackson. I'm Vince Welch. And, Marlin, it was interesting with all this Tom Brady stuff, Brady announcing his retirement again, et cetera.
Taking ownership of it this time, too.
He is.
That was fun. That's fun.
But the two of you are kind of forever linked, aren't you?
I love it.
For those that don't remember, the year the Colts went to the Super Bowl, they, of course, beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. The Patriots have the ball at the end of the game in the hands of Brady with an opportunity to go down, score, and win the game. And the Colts secured the victory courtesy a Marlin Jackson interception.
Yes. A great moment, great memory for the city of Indianapolis.
And I got to believe for you, take us back there. Do you remember what that play?
Break that
down.
That
for
is
us.
one of those things that I can never forget. It is a core memory, a core experience that has really afforded me a lot of opportunity after in life to be remembered in such a high regard here throughout the city of Indianapolis is direct relation to that play. And all of it is about the moment in terms of the historical context of the relationship between the Patriots and the Colts and kind of being in the midst of the tide turning more in our favor, and that moment being kind of a tipping point where things totally turned in our favor. Understanding the magnitude of the moment, remembering the formation, remembering what I saw in terms of the read, remembering the break, remembering the moment after and picking it off, and then immediately getting on the ground, and then all that confetti coming down and knowing that it's not up in the air, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Did you read Brady's eyes? What gave you? Because you had such a good jump on that throw.
It was his body. So it just the tendencies, right? It's the mental aspect of the game that if you study and if you pick up on tendencies, it allows you to be able to use your physical skills and abilities even more. So Brady was always known, especially with cover 2 teams like ourselves, he was known to look one way and then blindly turn and look and throw the opposite. So immediately when the ball is snapped, he turns and looks away from me. So that's telling me that he's actually going to come to me, right? So then as he starts to turn his head, I'm already breaking to go and intercept the ball. But it's because of my film study to pick up on that tendency, but then to be able to not only pick it up, but then put it into action in a split second in a moment and make the play.
The Colts and the Patriots has such a heated rivalry. As a player in the midst of that rivalry, is it is hatred too strong, or is it respect? I mean, the fans get caught up in the intensity and the hatred of the rivalry, but what is it like inside the locker room when there's that nemesis that keeps being the thorn in the side, like the Patriots were for so many years?
Sometimes I think it depends upon the makeup of the rivalry, because I'll throw in there and add in on the collegiate level, like Michigan, Ohio State,
and you played at
Michigan and Michigan State, where it was Michigan State was a little bit more of a hatred, where Michigan, Ohio State, there's some mutual respect there. And then, I would put, the Colts and Patriots in that same category, a lot of respect. There's a lot of Hall of Fame players on both times. I mean, I had the opportunity to play with so many guys that are currently in the Ring of Honor, guys and coaches that are in the Football Hall of Fame, guys that are going to go into the Football Hall of Fame, and it's the same thing in that period of time with the Patriots. So just when you understand the level of the competition that you're going up against, you can't help but respect them. You may not like them, but doesn't mean you can't respect them.
What's the rival? What was Tony Dungy's approach to the rivalry of Patriots Colts?
Tony was, I think we all know he's so even keel, right? And it literally his words.
But he's a competitor.
Don't get too high, don't get too low. He's a competitor, but it was the same approach, like every game, very methodical, and just taking the same approach. It's a rivalry, but we need to do the same things in terms of how we prepare, in terms of the measurables that are going to allow us to win. They're all the same, right? We have to do what we do, right? And that's another one of his sayings. We're going to do what we do. We're not, because it's the Patriots, we're going to, create up an entirely new scheme, all right? A new offense, a new defense. We might put some wrinkles in, but we're going to execute. Yeah. The fundamentals that we execute at a high level, we execute well. We're just going to continue to do those things extremely well and let our effort and energy and intensity take us over the top.
The interception of Brady that secured the AFC Championship and sent you guys to the Super Bowl, you picked off the pass. That ball, did you keep that ball? And where is that ball
and I'm
today?
sure Mr. Irsay wants it, because I know that they have my helmet from that. I would like to have that, but I don't think I'm going to get that back.
The Colts have that.
That's in the museum. That's in the museum. Yeah. And I'm sure he would like to have the ball.
You should be able to keep your own gear, man.
I would have liked that helmet. I didn't even know they had it until I walked through one day and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, there's my helmet." But no, even saying that, like, I'm glad that they felt the need, or there was a desire to keep it. Yeah. That's a memory.
Now your kids were too young. Well,
my kids weren't alive.
Weren't even born yet.
I got married after I left the NFL and started having kids.
So
after the fact, but they YouTube.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you make sure they see it?
YouTube and fans make sure that they know about it as well. Like, when they see me get stopped, when somebody asks for an autograph or starts talking to me, and it's kind of always the same thing where, man, I just got to tell you, I remember the call, Bob Lamey, Marlin's got it. Like, and they go into the call, and my kids love it, and they smile, and they watch highlights on YouTube. As anybody with kids right now, the power of YouTube and all the power and how the kids love to go on and watch videos. So my kids are always on there watching football, watching my highlights, all that good stuff.
Speaking of your kids, 9, 7, and 5, right? So I mean, a completely different demographic than what you and I are as adults and so forth. And so the Pro Bowl, the NFL Pro Bowl,
new format,
and kind of the old, the old guard. Misses the day when the game was, meant something, and they played.
And it was physical.
But it got to the point at the end where it was
two-hand touch with pads.
And nobody wants to get hurt. Don't blame them.
But nobody wants to watch that either.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, they had to do something, and this was an attempt, and innovation is always an attempt, right?
So as a former player, watching that, and it's the Pro Bowl, and what does it mean to be, to be a Pro Bowl selection, etc. And then the format of kind of games, like yard games that they were playing and stuff. What did you feel like as a former player watching it? And then how did your kids receive it?
Well, I mean, initially I kind of was thrown off, But as I continued to watch throughout the weekend and then on Sunday, I was like, it's pretty cool, right? The difficulty with being in the National Football League is that you have a helmet on. And when it comes to marketing and branding, people don't really know who you are.
What you look like.
What you look like. But this was an opportunity to see what players look like, to see a little bit of personality, to get right in the mix with the production crew, right? And see and hear the experience and see how they're taking in the fanfare. So from that aspect, it was cool and it was unique, but it was definitely different. And then I was very, conscious as I was taking it in to watch my children and to see what their response was. And they were huddled up on a couch watching it, where I know that if it was the actual game, they would not have been able to sit for the entirety of a full game, where they sat down and they're watching the dodgeball, they're watching the obstacle course and then pulling, unstacking the weights from a wall and then pulling the wall. They watch the 7-on-7, right? Because even that's changed, right? During my era, 7-on-7 wasn't necessarily a thing outside of what we did at practice. There wasn't as much NFL flag and 7-on-7 tournaments, but now those are very popular. And all they're doing is they're tracking older generation may not get it, but they're tracking the new age and the younger generation and trying to bring others along at the same time, because these things are very popular. And even the format is popular. If you watch TV at all sometimes and you go through the standard CBS, ABC, there's all sorts of game shows where there's all sorts of tasks and things that people have to accomplish. That's kind of a format nowadays. And they kind of integrated that concept with 7-on-7 flag football and allowing the players to show some personality, to literally see their faces. And I think that the younger audience loved it. I think for others, it's growing on them. But then you heard some actual players like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Right? I think Josh Jacobs, running back for the Raiders, those were his sentiments, that this is dumb.
Well, you're never going to please everybody all the time.
Nope.
And it is
definitely not in America.
And it is a situation where you have to protect the players, even though Myles Garrett did end up getting hurt. I think he was the only one that suffered a serious injury. So you got to protect the players, but also that younger demographic, like your kids. I mean, that's ultimately, the NFL is king. The NFL has the golden calf. Everybody is watching it. It was the most watched, the Pro Bowl event was the most watched sporting event of the weekend. And so if they can roll that out and it's still everybody successful, watches, but if they get the kids to watch, that's important.
And they're one of the best, in my opinion, they are one of the best at targeting a broader audience, whether it be children or it be, an unexpected demographic like the female population. They do a great job of coming to where people are, because even, when we watch games during the season now with my kids, there are games that are on, it's what is it? It's on Nickelodeon. It's the highlights that have the animation all built in, Slime Time. Like you have all of these offshoots of football now that appeals to different demographics. And even if you look at, Monday Night Football and the Eli and Peyton Manning, right? They're cast on ESPN2.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the typical play-by-play. It's supposed to be a little more entertaining, a different audience. We're going to have some characters come on. We're going to have some athletes come on, and we're going to have discussion in between hearing Eli and Aaron Payton. They just have a broad, method in which they engage their audience.
And even in that Pro Bowl situation, we saw Peyton's competitiveness, which I know you're familiar with.
But that's the thing about the athletes, though, because even with that, it's going to come out.
Yeah.
Like, guys are so competitive, and I'm like this as well. Even sometimes where you may not think I'm competing, but I'm competing. I want to win, right? But Peyton for sure, uber competitive. All those guys, and for the guys, the format on the back end probably didn't change in terms of they earn right their fees, their wages for that game if you win, right? And there's a scale. And I think it was about at least a $40,000 difference between the winning and losing divisions, right? So that is a major incentive. Even if we're not playing tackle football, I still have to compete and win because I want that money.
Would Peyton make a good coach?
That's a good question. That's a good. I want to say that's a good question because sometimes, Hall of Fame players, top tier players don't always, because of, I would say, expectations. Because you did it so well, you have this expectation that how you think and how you apply and do things is the norm. When it's not, that's why you're one of the exceptions.
Let me ask you this. The Colts took a lot of heat for putting Jeff Saturday in as the interim. Okay, and in the speculation of potentially even being a candidate for the full-time head coaching position has been a pretty polarizing subject.
Very, very.
Would it be the same polarizing discussion if it was Peyton Manning and not Jeff Saturday?
And I will say no.
Why? Peyton has no coaching experience, and the center is the quarterback of the offensive. Calling a lot of the signals. I mean,
you're thinking about it a little more deeply than others are.
But I mean, from a player's perspective,
I'm thinking about it along your lines. What you just said there, I don't know if people always understand the IQ of the center position, and that is not just the quarterback that is making checks, right? That it is a relationship between both of them, and maybe we can dive a little bit more on that after we come back from a break.
Man, it has been polarizing, that's for sure. Still waiting for that the Colts decision on their head coach. Wouldn't expect that until after the Super Bowl. The NFL doesn't want you breaking big news in the days leading up to the Super Bowl, so would expect that probably next week. But interesting for sure, and we'll carry on that conversation and a lot of other stuff. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, this guy, is he worth the drama that he's bringing to the table every offseason? A lot of good stuff coming up today. Hey, we're going to have Clint Bowyer. I think Clint may be the biggest, other than Jimmy, may be the biggest Chiefs fan I know. Former NASCAR driver, NASCAR broadcaster. This guy is crazy. Rolls with Eric Stone Street from Monterey. All these guys, they kind of have this little Chiefs mafia. We'll have some fun with Clint a little bit later. And if you're a dad, honest to goodness, I think this is one of the best father-son stories. You will not want to miss our guest coming up at 2:30 this afternoon. So a lot of stuff going on. Plus Chris Denari talking about that Pacers game in Miami later tonight. All that just ahead with Marlin Jackson. I'm Vince Welch, and 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Window Nation has the coolest deal ever for keeping you warm. Get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy with 0 down payment, 0 monthly payments, and pay 0 interest for 24 months. Now is the perfect time to take advantage of Window Nation's deep discounts, all while reinvesting in your biggest asset. Not to mention the savings on your energy bills for years to come. Up to 43% of your home utility bill goes to heating and cooling. With new Window Nation windows, you can cut those energy bills during these cold winter months by keeping your hot air in and the cold air outside. Go with the window company that has installed over 1 million windows in over 150,000 homes, all with 96% customer satisfaction. Now's the time to upgrade the look and feel of your home, all while saving thousands on your energy bills. Call 866-90NATION and get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy with no limit, plus make no down payment, no payments, and pay no interest for 24 months. This offer won't last long. Call Window Nation today, 866-90NATION, or go to windownation.com. Tell them Kevin Bowen sent you.
Winning games and championships is fun, but the true purpose of high school sports is for student athletes to grow as people, not just athletes. I'm Paul Knighty, Commissioner of the IHSAA.
And I'm Dr. Katie Jenner, Indiana Secretary of Education. Hoosier teachers and coaches care just as much about how student athletes are performing in the classroom as they do about how they're performing on the playing field.
They understand high school sports are a tool to educate and shape the whole student athlete, helping teens become the best versions of themselves.
Our teachers and coaches don't just teach academic and athletic skills, they also encourage communication and collaboration, instill confidence, promote a strong work ethic, and so much more. To all our Hoosier educators and coaches, we are grateful for everything you do.
Fans, buy a ticket to your high school's athletic events and thank our educators for making education-based athletics possible.
This is gratitude. This is appreciation. This is your IHSAA.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. From frozen pipes and sewer backups to your teenager pleading ignorance on the proper use of a plunger. At Michaelis, they know that water damage waits for no one. Their fleet of trucks is, well, fleet. Over 3 decades of finding the source of the problem, then cleaning up, drying out, and restoring your home or business to better than new condition. That's Michaelis, fully licensed and insured, and fully empathetic to your anxiety, including dealing with insurance claims. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
Every piece of land has a story. Some right there is behind the wheel of a John Deere 1 Series tractor, like the Upshaws.
This is my tractor, Penny. It's all about attention to detail.
But the Nelsons love cruising around their expansive Montana ranch in their John Deere Gator UV.
We've been here since 1868.
While the Caggianos drive a John Deere zero-turn mower to keep their Long Island brewery looking sharp.
Don't call me, don't bother me. I'm going out to mow for a couple hours.
Run with us and start telling your story. Learn more at johndeere.com/radio.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails in an extensive bourbon category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu. And don't forget about the 29-degree man-sized drafts. And it's UFC 284 as Alexander Volkanovski moves up from featherweight to take on Islam Makhachev February 9th. Watch the bout at Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
Hey, Indy. Tim Pearson here, founder of Chattanooga Whiskey, the only Tennessee high malt. Instead of me trying to describe the unique and bold character of Chattanooga Whiskey Cask 111, in the words of a random customer review, tastes like a chocolate malt ball and dark fruit. Reminds me of a dark, sweet cereal dessert. Thank you, random customer reviewer. But don't just take their word for it. Try it for yourself. Maybe Chattanooga Whiskey Cask 111 will be your new evening dessert. Drink Chattanooga Whiskey. Enjoy responsibly.
The Pacers head to South Florida to face the Miami Heat. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
.3 and 107.5 The Fan.
What up, Wednesday with Marlin Jackson? I'm Vince Welch. Good to have you sharing a little bit of your day with us. What is up with Aaron Rodgers? I mean,
he's a different cat. I'll say that seems like the word for him. A different type of dude.
The Packers quarterback says he's going to go on a darkness retreat in a couple of weeks. Have you heard of darkness?
There's going to be a lot of people researching now, looking up. We should check that away on social media, Google. Darkness retreat.
So
what does that entail?
No electricity. There's like a slot in the door where they'll put, slip food into him, and it's just him. No electricity. Where he says when he comes out after, I think, what is it, like 3 or 4 days?
So this isn't new. This is something that he's done in the past. I wonder.
I don't know if he's done it in the past, but I think others have. It's a thing, and he's like, well, then maybe this is my.
Is it? It must be cleansing detoxing of the mind is what I would think of when you're seeking retreat, isolation.
And he says when he comes out, he's going to know. He's going to know whether he should retire, whether he's going to return to the Packers, or whether he's going to want to be traded and go
fasting,
somewhere else.
Right? You know, with religion, sometimes fasting to get clarity on direction. He's trying to hear a word from God, maybe like Aaron Rodgers. He's pulling out all the stops going into the offseason. He is really trying to be as thorough as the Indianapolis Colts are right now with making the right decision.
Is his drive? I mean, it seems like it's every year. Hey, you can't argue his talent, right?
Oh no, he is.
Is the drama too much, or do good teams just accept it and be happy to have him because he's so talented?
They are not going to worry, and they're going to be happy to have that talent.
You take Aaron Rodgers' drama and all.
They're going to take. I'm not saying
thing.
that I would the bad haircut and all. Not saying that I would, but NFL GMs, they're going to look at that game film. They're going to look at that pedigree. They're going to look at the historical context of who Aaron Rodgers is and what he's been able to deliver. Even this year, got off on the wrong foot, an extremely slow start, but they came raging and roaring back by the end of the season, and he was a big part of that. I think it's questionable the type of teammate that he is in terms of how he manages the locker room and how demanding he can be. But the bottom line in sports is always W's, wins. That determines the decisions that are made. And most of the time, I'm going to say people will overlook a lot if you win.
Yeah, I mean, look at Kyrie Irving, right? I mean, all the problems that Kyrie has gone through, or the baggage that he seems to bring, and there's still somebody out there that wants him. Aaron Rodgers is interesting, because he doesn't have too many more years left, but
would you give him 2 or 3? 2 or 2 max?
But boy, it's hard to deny that talent. But the darkness retreat is something a little bit different, that's for sure. Hey, coming back, Marlin Jackson, I'm Vince Welch. You're listening to 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Your home for indie sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
Listen on air.
Online at 1075thefan.com.
And on our free app.
Stay connected to all things indie sports, including the latest news, show blogs, and catch up on what you've missed with our podcast.
We're never more than just a click away.
Download our app at Google Play and on the App Store. From your home for indie sports.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
I don't want to go to bed at night dreading waking up in the morning, knowing that I'm going to feel like a rusty lawn chair, getting out of bed and getting opened up and not being able to really move for a couple hours really throughout the day.
For former college and pro football player Bobby Carpenter and those dealing with daily aches and pains, QC Kinetics regenerative pain treatments are a game changer, providing long-lasting relief.
Go into a specific joint, a specific region, and then help promote that healing process using your own body's mechanisms to heal. I mean, that's been something that's pretty powerful, and there's no surgery, there's no downtime.
QC Kinetics natural treatments help the body heal and restore itself. No more rusty lawn chair.
It's no surprise to see people being willing to try this first, especially when it has such great results.
Pain relief the natural way. QC Kinetics. Call today for your complimentary consultation. Find out if you're a good candidate for treatment.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
Got cabin fever? We've got the cure. The Ford 68th Annual Indianapolis Boat Sport and Travel Show. February 17th through 19th and 22nd through 26th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. See the latest boats, RVs, power sports, and motorcycles, travel destinations from across North America, Tackletown, USA, plus much more. That's over 750,000 square feet of the great outdoors indoors. Plus, learn from expert fishermen at the 811 Fishing Seminar Series. Save money and buy tickets online at indiesportshow.com. Another Renfro production.
Hey, it's JMV. Winter's here, and you know what that means. A high risk for frozen pipes. And the pros at LD Smith Plumbing recommend keeping faucets dripping when temps drop below 20 degrees. It's also important to know the location of your water shutoff valve in case of a water emergency. The plumbing heroes of Indianapolis can solve any plumbing problems, even frozen pipes. To schedule an appointment, call LD Smith Plumbing at 317-927-7186. They are dirty, stinking honest. That's ldsmithplumbing.com today. Hey, it's JMV and fellas, Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Forget the chocolate, the flowers, the bracelet. Give her what she really wants. That's the gift of a great night's sleep. Make your appointment at Aurora Sleep Clinic today and finally put an end to your snoring for good. Do it now. That's stopyoursnorenow.com. Just in time for Valentine's Day, the perfect gift for her is a great night's sleep. Get that snoring contained now. That's Aurora Sleep Clinic. Stopyoursnorenow.com.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The Pacers head to South Florida to face the Miami Heat. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
and 107.5, The Fan.
Welcome back, Marlin Jackson. I'm Vince Welch, at MarlinJ28 if you want to hit up Marlin on Twitter, and I'm at Vince Welch. Good to have an opportunity to sit with you. We were just talking about Orange Theory. We kind of work out at the same place occasionally, and our different workout routines. And as a former professional athlete, is it difficult to keep a level of conditioning that you find appealing or appropriate?
Yeah, it is extremely difficult.
What do you weigh now?
I'm about probably 210,
and you played at what? What was your play weight?
I played about 198.
So you're about 20 pounds, 15, 20 pounds heavier?
I'm like about 12 to 14 pounds heavier than I was when I played.
And is that a good weight for you?
Oh yeah, for me right now.
You're comfortable with what you're...
Oh yeah, I'm comfortable, and part of maintaining that comfort is making sure that I stay active. I think that's the most important thing that I've learned, is that you have to keep moving as you get older. Like they say, if you don't move it, you're going to lose it. like literally. And if you want to have, the ideal health, right, as an individual, you got to keep moving with your muscles and cardio and just that variety, but I also balance it out with yoga as well to get my stretching and then get the work for my mind as well.
What I think is interesting, and a lot of people may not understand this, is that what your weight is as a athlete or as a player, particularly I think in football. Some guys. Like an offensive lineman struggles to put on weight. They want to be heavier.
That was a Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, Jeff Saturday put a lot of weight. I think there's an interesting story about the Eagles right tackle Lane Johnson, who's
played
the number one. I think he's the number one right tackle in the league.
Yeah, he is phenomenal.
He suffered a torn adductor,
a torn groin.
Yeah,
is what he's played with a torn. Which
should have had surgery.
Should have had surgery. Will have surgery when the season's over. But if he was a defensive back or a linebacker, he wouldn't be able to play. Like, even if he played defensive line, he would not be able to play with that injury. Anything that is explosive and change direction, if you have a torn groin, you can't do it. You cannot move at the same pace, which is phenomenal that he's doing it, but I can see how we can still do it as a tackle. But even as a tackle, when you're setting, you're kick stepping, you're stepping back, and that end is coming off of the edge, it comes a point where there's going to be conflict, a confrontation of, I have to stop this individual, and with that, there's a thrust of energy that you need to utilize to stop them. And I would think on those plays, that would be extremely painful to go through.
It's interesting because he's a 10-year vet. I mean, the guy's been around. Lane Johnson, talking about the Eagles right tackle, 32 years old, but he's 6'6", and his body weight, he says, naturally is about 310, but he wanted to be 330, and he just couldn't put the weight on and keep it on, so he connected with a guy named Sam Efferding, who is kind of the author and creator of this the vertical diet, it's called. An interesting article in The Athletic by Zach Berman. But Efferding put Lane Johnson on a 5,500 calorie a day diet.
Load up those calories.
5,500 calories. So this is, if you want it, if you watch Game of Thrones, Thor Bjornsson, the guy that plays the Mountain, he works with efforting as well to stay as big, to put on that mask. But 5,500 calories a day. I mean, that's almost like a job to eat that much, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure. He's probably constant. He's probably eating at least minimum 5 times.
Because they say, 2,000 calories is a normal
diet. But with him and being an athlete and all of the calories that are being burned with your workouts from practice to lifting weights to your cardio work, you have a high metabolism. You're always burning, so you do have to fuel up a lot. But then that's the thing, when you're done, you can't put on or put in as many calories as you were when you're playing, because your level of working out decreases dramatically. So if you continue to eat at that same rate, you'll find yourself.
He'll be 430 when he gets done,
and you won't be recognizable. Everybody will be looking at you like, huh, what? Like who is that? That's Lane.
Yeah, and that to have that balance of protein and fats and carbs and all that stuff has got to be.
Yeah, it's a science.
It's a science.
It's literally a science. Literally a science, because when I played, I started going through my injuries. You know, I've torn both my ACLs, both of my Achilles, I've shoulder, hip, abdomen. I'm at about 10 to 11 surgeries. But when you start doing that, you start to look for methods, right, and legal methods, right, where it's diet, right, it's chiropractic work, it's hyperbaric chambers, it's infrared saunas, like it's all these measures that you take to heal your body, right, but diet is a critical part where, when I played, I utilized a diet that was utilized by Dwight Freeney, where they would test your blood, they would see what foods fits best with your system in terms of a reaction, inflammation, swelling on the body. And whatever foods you had reactions to, you would strip away all those foods and you would start back and add one by one different foods to see if you have a reaction, until you had a diet where you don't have any reaction in terms of inflammation on your body, which allows you to be able to heal. Inflammation is what keeps you sick. Inflammation is what slows down the healing process, and it's all about reducing inflammation. But a lot of the foods that we eat as Americans cause inflammation.
Well, and that was one of the things that Lane Johnson said in regards to this 5,500 calorie diet. He said, I would eat, but I was eating the wrong thing, so I was constantly feeling bloated and feeling
tired
slow and tired,
foggy.
and absolutely. And said, so when this Sam Efforting and the vertical diet came to fruition for him, and he got connected to it, he started eating cleaner and all those things that you were talking about. And he said, now I don't feel like I'm carrying around an extra 20 pounds.
And that's the funny thing about just being in America. Like
we like it supersized
and they won't tell us what it is, and we still eat it. Like, it's called junk food.
Yeah,
literally called junk food, but we still will eat just all of it.
Oh, I had Mexican last night. I can tell you, I just ate way more than I had a plate full of food, and I was like, I should not, but I'm gonna.
It was Taco Tuesday at the Jackson house last night. I made tacos and bean dip and rice, and I had we had the queso, everything, so I'm with you.
That must be a theme. My wife and I went to dinner with my mom and dad last night, and it was Taco Tuesday with them, but we went to a Mexican place and had fun. It was good stuff, man. Hey, I want to hit a couple of other NFL things with you. We talked about Aaron Rodgers and the Pro Bowl and the rivalries, etc. What do you make of Sean Payton going to the Broncos? And now Russell Wilson had the tough season, very uncharacteristic for his career. And but evidently Russell's got some personal coaches that are around.
An entourage.
Yeah. And Sean Payton said no, that's not going to happen.
I think one of the guys is he worked with Michael Jordan. He's worked with Kobe Bryant. And he's a mental, emotional, physical wellness coach, and as well as he must have had some other guys around him with the technical skills. But I like it. Like, you
like having the other guys around, or you like Sean Payton saying no?
Coming in and saying, we're not going to have all of the extra.
He said it's players
part of the package
and our staff.
Because
no extras.
You don't, but this is a part of the self-reflection that Russell Wilson needs to do, and to look back on what worked and what didn't work in the experiment of this past season. how was I received by my teammates, right? With my production, with my play, and then all of the off the field things, right? And some of this is just hearsay in terms of it sounded like he had his own individual office in the building, right? You have your own office as a player. Ugh. Guys are going to be looking at you sideways like, okay, teammate.
Yeah, because you're all supposed to be in it together, right?
You're an executive now. Yeah. Not only do you have a locker, you have an office. Oh, you also have your own personal nutritionist. Oh, you have your own.
But would any of that stuff have mattered if they'd have gone 13-3 and 14-3 and would be playing in the Super Bowl? And we wouldn't be talking about that.
But because things did not go well, right, and there seemed to be a drop off in his performance, I think that's the major thing there. They didn't play well, but he didn't play well. Right. And they didn't play well. He was a big part of that. And now there's offensive coordinator, head coach that goes into that as well, offensive line. But a part of it, even when there were plays there, Russell Wilson was not making the typical Russell Wilson throws. He wasn't elusive. He wasn't able to hit those big plays down the field. So what may have worked previously in Seattle did not work in Denver. So he has to look at the experiment and see what were the results. And the results weren't good, so what needs to change? That's just pure evaluation, right? The organization is doing that, but each individual player, especially a multi-million-dollar QB that is owed hundreds of millions of dollars, you better do some soul searching and some evaluation so that you can come back next season. And I think that's part of where Sean Payton is coming from. It's just like a reset, right? We need to figure out what works and what doesn't work for Russell. So him and I need to be on the same page from day one. And a part of us being on the same page, I can't have another coach in his ear saying something that may not align with what I'm trying to teach, right? And obviously, there's a reason why Sean Payton has the job. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been extremely impactful in the NFL, working with Drew Brees and that relationship there. Phenomenal play caller. Now he's just trying to figure out how is Russ broken and trying to decide how can he put them back together.
We had a little bit of this conversation earlier, and we were talking about would it have been viewed differently if the Colts would have named Peyton Manning as the interim coach versus Jeff Saturday, even though neither one of them have coaching experience. How much does it matter that the coach, if he played the game in a, say the quarterback, say we'll just use Peyton just for hypotheticals, or Jeff Saturday, who's the quarterback of the offensive line, fair to say? So take us inside the locker room, and what does it mean to a player to have somebody who's not coached before in the league, or coached before, period, but was a phenomenal player, knows the game, smart? Does it matter that you're being coached by someone who's not been a coach before?
So I would say this is what matters, in my opinion. You can have phenomenal talent and be a great player, but are you a great leader? That's the difference. And I think people would be extremely enamored with Peyton's talent, his ability, his IQ of the game, but then you would have to know, is he also a leader? In my experience, I would say yes. He was uber talented, but equally, he was just as great of a leader. And I would say the same thing with Jeff Saturday. Great talent as an offensive lineman, but also a very strong leader. I would say challenge or exceeds Peyton when it comes to leadership, right? So that's the key factor. It's not the talent that the individual had when they played. It's how were they received in that locker room? What was the culture and climate of that locker room? How did they contribute to that in a positive way? Did guys look to them in times of need, right? Did coaches
from a leadership
standpoint, right? That's what matters most when you have a new coach coming in, you want to know what their track record is in terms of relationships and maintaining and building the relationships within an organization.
Let me ask you this.
Talent.
As a player, of course, you're a defensive back. Is it more important your relationship with the DB coach or more important a relationship with the head coach?
Oh, I would say your DB
your position coach.
Your position. That's who it's who you spend the most time with, right? That head coach is a manager, of the morale, of the vision, the direction, the measurables that we're tracking for success as a team, as an offense, as a defense, as special teams. And then they may have a specialty where they may spend more time. So from time to time, Coach Dungy would come in and would be with the defensive backs, right? Or he would spend a lot of time with the defense overall because he was a defensive coordinator in the past. But he was also spend time with the quarterbacks as well because he played quarterback at the University of Minnesota. So I think that just varies depending upon the individual. But, as a leader, understanding that the relationships within the organization, the morale, that's where I would say things fell apart with the Colts this season. And it probably started, I would say, before
the morale and the confidence level?
The morale, the belief. I felt in terms of the inconsistent play, there was a lack of belief in the leadership, right? Where you continue to see the same results year in and year out. Slow start. We're going to be digging ourselves out of a hole. And then when you find yourself in the same predicament, but now you don't have the same offensive line play, which limits the production at running back, and you bring in a veteran QB that can only throw the ball and not run or create, you don't have the cohesion that you need to be successful. But a big part of it was a lack of what we saw, consistent high level of competition and competing and follow through and good habits, right? We just saw week in and week out the team self-destruct, fall apart, and then we would see Frank at the podium apologizing for it again, which I love Frank Reich, and I know that he was capable, but you're almost doomed to fail when we watch poor product and then you come and you shoulder it every week. It's going to eventually just fall right square on your shoulders, even though there are other factors that play into it.
Yeah, they can't fire the players. I mean, the coach is going to be the guy, and he was the guy that was shown the door. But I'm glad Frank landed in Carolina, and I think that'll be a great opportunity for him there. Marlin Jackson with us, All-American in college, first-round draft pick, Super Bowl champion, played at Michigan for Lloyd Carr. First-round pick, played 5 seasons. You mentioned the 11 injuries, the 11 surgeries that you had. What the Achilles surgery kind of ended it for you, right? When you were in Philly,
it was actually I had sports hernia surgery. Even after I tore my right Achilles when I signed with the Eagles and OTAs in practice. But then I rehabbed.
That was in 2010?
Yes, right? And I rehabbed the entire year, and I came back going into that 2011-12 season. But then in training camp, I had a sports hernia, and from there I was released by the Eagles. And
What's the difference between a sports hernia and a regular hernia?
I think a regular hernia is kind of like the intestines, like starting to poke through your muscle wall, so like some tearing in the muscle fibers in your abdomen. Where the sports hernia is where your groin muscle starts to tear away from the bone in your leg.
Painful?
Yeah, it's
or just keeps you from doing what you want to do.
It's nagging. You're limited. For a guy like me, my strength was my speed and my agility. I wasn't as agile. I wasn't as fast.
with that sports hernia.
With the sports hernia.
You know, it's amazing because you had a couple of ACLs, right? Yep. And 1 or 2 ruptured Achilles.
3.
3
But two were after I was done playing.
My goodness. Because that, to me, the Achilles sounds like the most painful injury that one could have.
So ACL and Achilles, if you ever encounter that, you know what it is, because it's like an explosion. And with the ACL, it's a quick explosion that just poof, you feel it in your knee.
And is it immediate pain?
It's emotional pain.
Yeah,
not as much
because you've known what you've done, and this is
you
going to
know
be
what you've done. You know the road,
but the
road
hurt,
ahead.
the actual physical pain.
It's after the throbbing,
Gotcha.
the swelling. Where Achilles, it's very, I'll say, astonishing, just in terms of what occurred. If I thought that I said, who kicked me?
Yeah, I've heard that. The people like somebody think they've been hit by something in the back of the calf or something.
I felt like I was kicked or hit with a bat in the back of my leg. So I immediately knew what happened.
Mm. Yeah, and I would think that from a professional athlete standpoint, that's got to be horrifying, because not only do you know, okay, I'm hurt, but you know what's ahead of you.
Well, and then imagine
before you can get back.
Imagine when the previous 2 to 3 years have been filled with that.
Yeah.
So I really, the last 3 years were injuries, right? I tore my ACL against the week of the Patriots in practice, my first one, and I rehabbed, came back, played maybe 4 or so games. The next season was effective, but then in the middle of that season, again, get ready to play the Patriots, I tear my other ACL. Then I get to that end of that season, and then I actually recover faster, and I'm back to like running and things in 6-7 months. I'm at full speed. I'm actually participating in the OTAs in Philadelphia. So not even a year fully out from that, then I tear my Achilles.
Wow.
So just, it was very deflating experiencing it, but that those losses and that adversity, it builds confidence in like knowing that you can overcome things and that you'll be okay when difficulties occur, and you have the mental fortitude to push through difficult times.
Jim Irsay and the Colts organization in general, the Kick the Stigma campaign, about the mental health and the challenges. From a mental health standpoint, that just seems like that would be incredibly challenging to not fall into depression or have anxiety upon returning, all of those things. I mean, is that as much of an issue as the physical, or?
I think that's one of those things that differs from person to person, right?
But I'm guessing you've seen the full spectrum in your career of players and yourself maybe that's had to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yes. What the thing is that's why it's called Kicking the Stigma, because it's silent. It's a silent killer. Like when people are struggling internally, they don't want anybody to know. Like there's shame in that. There's worry and doubt in that. But for me personally, I always found something to fill that space. So with the first ACL, all I did that off season was go to school and finish my degree in rehab. So I finished.
Occupied your mind.
I had 9 credits. Yeah. All I did was rehab and go to class online. So that occupied my mind, and then it was also, progressing me forward in life overall, right? And then the same thing in Philadelphia when I tore my Achilles, I was in a city where I had the opportunity to spend time with my niece and nephew, and Marco and Kinsey, that I often didn't get to spend that much time with. So I got to coach my now nephew, who's going to Kansas next year as a point guard, right? He's a McDonald's All-American.
Nice.
But I coached him when he was 6 years old, his first year of playing tackle football. So it's just, you have to fill that space, that emptiness, with something that's going to be fulfilling, and that's a method that everybody could apply. But it takes some self-awareness, and it takes some grit and some fortitude to be able to look around you and say, okay, I'm missing this right now. I can sit here and wallow in my pity, or I can go and be productive in other areas for this time.
You grew up in Pennsylvania, right? You're from Pennsylvania?
Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio. I was born in Youngstown, Ohio. Grew up and raised in Sharon, Pennsylvania.
So is that Steelers, Browns, Eagles?
Oh, you just the first two that you said. It's either or.
Yeah, and you were.
I was Steelers. Rod Woodson, Carnell Lake, right? You know, all those guys. Neil O'Donnell. Yeah. Like I was watching. You know, the comeback kids. I think it was the Indianapolis Colts and Jim Harbaugh in Three River Stadium.
I was at that
AFC.
game.
I was watching that. I watched it on TV at home. So yeah, I grew up. Major Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Yeah, well, you and I have that in common, you know, because I'm old enough that when I was a kid, the Colts weren't here yet. So you had another team.
So who was your team?
The Steelers, man.
Oh, the Steelers. Okay,
the Steelers were my group. You know, but if you lived around here, you know, you rooted for the Bengals or the Bears or the Cardinals were in St. Louis back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, because the Colts weren't here, so you rooted for, you know, you had your allegiance with another team, and
so what did you do when the Colts came? And did they win you over?
Well, being in the media, yes, but being in the media, you know, you don't root, you know, so you don't, you know, you're covering the game, you're covering the team, you're not a fan anymore. It's one of the things that really, to be honest with you, really took a lot away from my enjoyment of particular sports that I watch, because I don't watch as a fan anymore. I watch almost from a critical eye, whether it's the broadcast or the way the game is unfolded, etc. But more than anything, I just want I want a good game. But that said, the two teams, you know, always obviously focusing on what the Colts have done, and you kind of break that down into the minutia of the game and etc. The only other team I really do that with is the Steelers, still today.
Yeah, yep.
So, and one of my, you know, when I was a kid, Franco was my guy.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
Franco Harris.
And I was at an event about 2 years ago, and I had and Franco was there, and we were down in Nashville, and I had the opportunity to you know, speak with him and let him know, and it was a Fox broadcast, a lot of Fox broadcast people there. And so it was a pretty small event. So it wasn't like fanboy kind of thing. But I told him, I was like, man, you were my guy, you know.
Yeah.
And he could not have been more gracious, more friendly, more just more.
That's what you hear about
humble.
Franco Harris.
Man,
and even watching a football life a little bit and his story and getting to learn a little bit more about him and his deep connection to the city of Pittsburgh and just the humble, selfless, like individual that he was. And I think that's the fun part about like sports, is to hear the underlying story, the backdrop of the life of the individuals. And then when you get to learn, like, I love what they do on the field, but even more so, like, I love the type of person that the individual is. That's what makes sports so ingrained in our culture and holds a special place in our hearts emotionally, right? You know, even with having that interception, like people always talk about what they felt in the moment. Like, you could probably remember the Immaculate Reception. Like, what you felt?
I do.
Like when that occurred. And
my grandmother was hollering at me,
look at
quiet down. What are you screaming about?
But like that's a memory that you have, which is awesome, and what sports are all about.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people have that about your interception of Brady in the AFC Championship game that sent the Colts to the Super Bowl. Good stuff. Marlin Jackson, I'm Vince Welch. This is 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we're experienced in everything from boilers to furnaces, ductwork and all. Call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourair.com.
Always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
So, the other day, I bought an extremely chatty...
Boring story time.
Make that an extremely catty cockatoo.
You're welcome.
Apparently, the pet store won't take it back. But hey, I'll manage.
I love that for you.
Just like I manage without home internet.
No, you don't.
Sure, my mobile hotspot is slow and makes streaming shows unbearable.
Aw, Bertie likes to stream.
But I'm making do. Oh no, who's this?
My lady friend. It's mating season, duh.
No home internet? It's not that bad. No, not there.
It is that bad. Don't settle. Switch to Xfinity and get one line of unlimited mobile and home internet together for $50 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit your local Xfinity store today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, equipment tax, and fees extra. Reduced speeds after 20 gigabytes of data usage. Offer ends 3/21/23.
Hey, it's JMV for the absolute best in realty. That's Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's online, markdietel.com, MarkDietel.com. Today, whether you're downsizing, maybe you're in for an upgrade, Mark Dietel's going to have all the answers for you because he's going to guarantee an offer in 3 days or he will list it for free. How about Mike and Loretta from Mooresville? The kids were grown, moved out, and they wanted to downsize and move closer to the grandkids. What did they do? They turned it over to Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel got it done right, as he always does. Everybody is happy, and you will be too. The best in realty? It's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty today. 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, it's markdietel.com. Do it today. MarkDietel.com.
A new career offers new beginnings and unlimited opportunities. Begin your career with Eskenazi Health, ranked as Indiana's top hospital for community benefit by the Lown Institute. At Eskenazi Health, our patients are treated with compassion and skill. That's why Eskenazi Health is looking for professionals who share our mission and have a passion for serving their community. Enjoy excellent benefits, competitive pay, and unwavering leadership support. Learn more about Eskenazi Health careers at eskenazihealth.edu/careers.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code DAX at checkout. That's harrys.com, code DAX. Enjoy.
This Valentine's, let's be honest, Diamonds Direct knows what's on all of our wish lists this year. Just like the little black dress is a wardrobe staple that can be worn for any occasion, diamond classics like diamond stud earrings, pendants, and tennis bracelets are the perfect addition to dress up any look. For the first time ever, Diamonds Direct is offering an amazing 25% off their Diamond Classics collection. With 25% off, it's never been easier to build a perfect timeless jewelry collection. Every outfit is complete with these classics. Dress up your look with a pair of diamond studs, tennis bracelet, or pendant. Now through the 14th, take an additional 25% off Diamonds Direct's already low prices on their Diamond Classics collection. And give that little black dress lots of sparkle.
Don't miss the best ever Valentine's celebration at Diamonds Direct with unprecedented savings, in-store designer appearances, and special 0% financing offers. Get all the details at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Shop Grand Appliance for the lowest prices and up to $2,000 back on top appliance brands like KitchenAid. Learn more at grandappliance.com. Grand Appliance, expert since 1930.
The Pacers head to South Florida to face the Miami Heat. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Miami. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Can y'all feel that? Can y'all feel that?
With Marlin Jackson, I'm Vince Welch. Great to have you with us on this Wednesday. Pacers in action tonight down in South Beach, taking on the Miami Heat. Heat 4 games above 500. Pacers 5 games under. And we bring in Chris Denary, who is, I'm guessing, poolside. Chris, is that right? Would that be fair to guess or not?
No, that would not be fair. I'm sitting here in my hotel room. Just got back from shoot around. It is very nice here. Sunny, a little cloudy, but temperatures in the mid-70s. So,
oh, boy.
Yeah. So, when I left Indianapolis yesterday, when I drove out of my house in Carmel, I mean, it was nice out. I mean, I didn't have to wear a jacket or, for February to go to the airport and not have a jacket on. It felt great. So I don't know what it is today. My wife said it was sunny. So
yeah, it's pleasant for a winter day.
I'll take it for winter. I'll take it for winter in Indianapolis.
Hey, it's been a long time since the Pacers won on the road. And wasn't the last road win at Miami?
Yes. It was 2 days before Christmas right here. Tyrese Halliburton scored a career-high 43, had a career-high 10 threes, and hit a three from another county, not Dade, in that one, to win at 111-108. So, yes, the last road win is here in Miami.
Anything from shoot-around? You said you just got back from shoot-around. Anything from that stood out that we should be keeping our eye on or listening for tonight?
No, I mean, this group is in good spirits. I mean, it's been a tough run. They were 23-18 at the halfway mark of the season. They've lost 12 of 14. Tough homestand, lose that last-second heartbreaker to the Lakers, and then you beat Sacramento, and then, boy, Cleveland had a great weekend. They came in and, beat the Pacers pretty handily Sunday, and then went to Washington and had a big win on Monday. So, But this is a group that, I mean, they are so bonded together. They try to stay very, very positive, even when things are not going your way. So, I mean, I think they know that, this is a real opportunity. I mean, Miami has a lot of guys out. I mean, Victor Oladipo's out with injury. Kyle Lowry's out. But they still have their big three, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo, all average better than 20 points per game. So they're hanging on, Miami is right now, to the sixth spot in the Eastern Conference, which is the last playoff spot. Indiana right now is 10th. That's the final play-in spot as we start. What's hard to believe, guys, we start the final third of the season tonight. 55 games in the books and 27 left.
So with that stretch coming up, what do you think is going to take for the Pacers either to maintain or climb up those rankings that may be able to get into the playoffs?
Yeah, I was just making some notes here. I mean, one of the things that they've really struggled, and it really hurt when Halliburton went out for that 10-game stretch, is their offense just hasn't been the same as it was. I mean, if you go back to that stretch where they won 8 of 10, I mean, they were averaging 119 points a game, shooting 48% from the field and nearly 40% from three. If you look at the last 14, their scoring is down, their shooting is down. And so as much as you want to pin things on offense, or on defense, they just haven't been as efficient offensively as you'd like to see, and especially in late game situations. I mean, this has been through the better part of the first 50 plus games. They were the best fourth quarter team in the NBA, and those numbers have gone away. You think back to at Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago, in Memphis against the Lakers when they had a double figure lead. They've really struggled in fourth quarters. And so I look at, as much as we always want to pin, hey, you got to be better defensively. This team's got to find a way to be better offensively. I think that will take a lot of pressure off their defense.
Rely too much on Halliburton in those instances? Or does I've thought a couple of times maybe he tried to do too much in those instances. Is that a delicate balance?
Yeah, I think so, because you definitely want him aggressive, and his teammates believe in him. And so I think if you look at the total of the season, they have a better than 500 record in what we call clutch games, and clutch is plus or minus 5 points, 5 minutes to go. They've played 34 of those this year. That's tied for third most in the NBA. They've got 18 wins. That's tied for fifth most in the NBA. So if you look at, the totality of the season, they've really been pretty good in late game situations. It's been, they had a stretch in mid-December where they lost a couple in a row, and then here lately, they've lost a couple. But I think for the most part, if they've been in that situation, they have found ways to win games. And that definitely is an improvement over what we saw last year. I mean, last year, it just seemed game after game after game, they were always in it, but they couldn't win them. I think they've improved in that situation this year if you look at the entire season.
Pacers and the Miami Heat tonight, visiting with Chris Denary.
So as you look at the roster and you understand the impact of Halliburton on this roster, what do you feel is missing in terms of to get to that consistently competitive level where even if you're missing Halliburton, we still can string together wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing, this group is still so young. I mean, you're looking at a couple of guys that have been in and out of the rotation of late at the 4 or the backup 5, and that's Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith. And those guys are only 22 years old. And so I think a lot of what we're seeing is just growth opportunities and maturing and figuring out, what it's like to be in that situation. Case in point, I was watching LeBron, become the all-time leading scorer last night, and he did it in a loss against a very young Oklahoma City team that was on a bright stage, and their coach sort of challenged him to say, hey, let's see what you guys can do, young guys. And the young guys played pretty well last night. They won the game. So I think a lot of it is just continuing to see the growth and putting these guys in these types of situations. The one thing that, Kevin Pritchard has said is, as you look to the summer, I mean, they've got a great opportunity with cap space to be in the free agent market. They've got 3 first-round draft picks no matter what happens, theirs, Boston's, and Cleveland's. So they have a lot of opportunity, to do some things, depending on what they want to do. But I think for this group, it's just continuing to figure out and put yourself in position, to win games. I think the real good thing that's come out of the last couple of weeks was, the signing of Miles Turner and getting him extended, knowing that he'll be here. And if you look at Miles' numbers, I mean, they are career numbers. I mean, his last 8 games, he's had 5 20-point games. I think he's had 5 double-doubles. I really am proud of him because I think he's risen to the challenge. And he wants to be here. He wants to be a partner with Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin as they sort of rebuild this franchise and get the Pacers back to where they feel that they're supposed to be.
And Chris, you said something there that I think is often overlooked. He wants to be here. Yeah. And that is critical. I mean, that he has bought in to this young team. And Miles is only, I think, 26 himself. So, I mean, he's been around a while, but he's still a young guy.
And the why, what Chris said, the why he wants to be around because of that young nucleus of talent.
That said...
And Miles is a special guy. I mean, if you got to know him and know his parents, I mean, they really like what Indianapolis has done for Miles and his family. So, yeah, you're right. You're right, Vince. Somebody wants to be here. That's big.
Yeah, because there's a lot of guys that have rolled through here and they've had their eyes on a brighter star. And I think it takes somebody special to see an opportunity and not chase the shiny object. So I'm glad the Pacers did indeed secure Miles for a while. Chris, you mentioned the cap space, the 3 first-round draft picks. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility. The trade deadline looms. That's Thursday, right?
Yeah, tomorrow.
Do you anticipate? Yeah, tomorrow, 3:00. Do you anticipate the Pacers standing pat, or what's the chances? Give us a percentage on the Pacers doing something here before the trade deadline tomorrow.
I could potentially see them doing something along the edges, but I really feel like Kevin Pritchard likes the group that he has. He's seen some very positive things. Now, here of late, losing 12 of 14 is tough to see, but I think it's the big picture that they're not going to rush into anything. I mean, you have the summer to potentially look at what you want to do for next year. So it's pretty quiet right now. I mean, we're approaching 24 hours in the NBA. We've had a couple of things happen, the Kyrie Irving thing, Rui Hachimura going from Washington to the Lakers. We've had some minor deals here or there, but I would anticipate that across the NBA, I think there will be some, pretty substantial deals tomorrow, but just not sure really, what the Pacers see out there or if they want to do anything right now.
LeBron broke the scoring record, broke Kareem's scoring record. What was the kind of the water cooler conversation around shoot-around today about that last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so many of these guys, they're in their 20s and 22.
They don't remember Kareem like us old guys.
No. I mean, think about it. I'm looking at this roster. LeBron's been in the league 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Benedict Mathurin is 20. Nemhard is 22. Tyrese is 22.
Wow.
So when LeBron started his career, these guys were infants. And
diapers,
so
literally.
they grew up. I mean, that's what's crazy about it, guys. They grew up watching him, and now they're playing against him. So it was a phenomenal thing to watch last night and to see him do it in the third quarter. I mean, I kept thinking, what if they had said, look, if it happens in the fourth quarter in the final 3 minutes of a close game, we're not stopping it. We got to play the game. So it was cool that it happened at the end of the third quarter so they could sort of stop the game and have a big celebration, bring Kareem on the floor. It was pretty special.
Yeah, and I thought that too. We made the comment earlier. It was a pretty cool. I liked that visual of Kareem handing the ball to LeBron and the symbolism that created. And Kareem broke Wilt Chamberlain's record back in 1984. Kareem was 37 at the time. Chamberlain had set that mark back in 66. So I mean, it had been a long time, 38 years since that record had been broken, and certainly was interesting to see. And I thought, and we played it earlier and talked about it, Chris. I know you'll appreciate that. I thought Brian Anderson had a great call on the TNT telecast of it. He said what he needed to say, but he didn't get in the way of it.
Absolutely. BA is so good. I mean, I've gotten to know him over the years, longtime Major League Baseball broadcaster, and really has come into the NBA the last number of years. But you're right. Vince, we've been in situations like that, you in racing, you in basketball, me, and you while you don't script anything, you still got to know, you got to anticipate, hey, what is going to happen when this happens? So, yeah, I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, that clip will be played forever.
Yeah.
Like Hank Aaron's, 715th or, DiMaggio, just pick the great all-time great records. And those broadcast calls last forever. Yep. And I thought he hit the nail right on the head. It was terrific. Chris, appreciate the time, brother.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
Yep.
You do the same. That's
Chris Denary, television voice of the Pacers. Pacers in Miami to take on the Heat tonight. And, of course, you hear that right here at 93.5, 107.5, The Fan as well, with the voice of the Pacers, Mark Boyle. Hey, coming up at 2 o'clock, we're going to kind of shift to a little bit of a fandom Super Bowl deal with Clint Bowyer, the former NASCAR driver, currently NASCAR broadcaster, but uber super fan of the Chiefs. And we'll have some fun with Clint coming up at 2 o'clock. And then at 2:30, a father-son Super Bowl story that you won't want to miss. And I'm really looking forward to this chat that we're going to have at 2:30. So stay with us. Marlin Jackson, I'm Vince Welch. You're listening to 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Window Nation has the coolest deal ever for keeping you warm. Get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy with 0 down payment, 0 monthly payments, and pay 0 interest for 24 months. Now is the perfect time to take advantage of Window Nation's deep discounts, all while reinvesting in your biggest asset. Not to mention the savings on your energy bills for years to come. Up to 43% of your home utility bill goes to heating and cooling. With new Window Nation windows, you can cut those energy bills during these cold winter months by keeping your hot air in and the cold air outside. Go with the window company that has installed over 1 million windows in over 150,000 homes, all with 96% customer satisfaction. Now is the time to upgrade the look and feel of your home, all while saving thousands on your energy bills. Call 866-90NATION and get 2 windows free with every 2 you buy with no limit, plus make no down payment, no payments, and pay no interest for 24 months. This offer won't last long. Call Window Nation today, 866-90NATION, or go to windownation.com. Tell them Kevin Bowen sent you.
Payless Liquors can help make your Valentine's Day special and save you money. Payless is teaming up with Maker's Mark, Woodford, and Romeo Juliet wines for tastings, chocolate pairings, and even flower giveaways. Just go to PaylessLiquors.com or follow on Facebook for times and dates. Plus, all 26 family-owned Payless stores have the Kuiper Variety 4-packs for only 99 cents. Fireball Hearts are only $8.99, and Canadian Club in the 1.75-liter bottle is only $14.99. This Valentine's Day, don't pay more, get more, and pay less at Payless Liquors.
Love. It makes us do crazy things, like being the first one to say, I love you, or adopting a cat together when you're more of a dog person. Celebrate the madness of love with a perfect Valentine's gift from Helzberg Diamonds. Right now, half-carat diamond heart pendants in your choice of white, yellow, or rose gold are just $399.99, a savings of $500. Show her you're smitten with the gift of gorgeous jewelry at our best prices of the season. Hurry, Valentine's Day is Tuesday, February 14th. Shop at Helzberg.com or visit a store near you.
Twin Peaks is honoring the pursuit of brews and barrel-aged bourbon every Wednesday at the Bourbon and Brews Party. Get to Twin Peaks from 5 to 7 to experience a lingerie costume party paired with exceptional bourbons, tastings, and giveaways. Cheers. And it's a battle of the champions at UFC 284 as Alexander Volkanovski moves up from featherweight to take on Islam Makhachev. Watch the bout at Twin Peaks February 9th to find out who walks away with the belt.
Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
JMV here for my guys, John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air Conditioning. The groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter, and you need to make sure your furnace is safe, efficient, and working properly before you have a breakdown on a sub-zero day. Get the recommended service now from Love Heating and Air Conditioning, and the Love family will waive the $95 trip and diagnostic fee. These are the guys I trust in my home. I love the guys at Love. You will too. That's love-hvac.com or 317-754-0754. Tell them JMV sent you.
Hey, it's Dan Dockage for Affinity Whole Health. Guys, do something for yourselves. Go to feelgreatindy.com. I'm on a testosterone replacement program with Affinity. Let me tell you, the benefits are amazing. Go to feelgreatindy.com. That's feelgreatindy.com.
The Pacers head to South Florida to face the Miami Heat. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
And 107.5 The Fan.
With Marlin Jackson, I'm Vince Welch. Jimmy Cook, our producer. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Of course, big weekend, Super Bowl coming up. And the Colts still trying to figure out, maybe they have figured it out, but haven't announced it yet. And the league doesn't like you making big announcements before the Super Bowl.
Before the Super Bowl.
So
can't steal that shine.
Yeah, don't expect that to happen yet this week, but maybe the beginning of next week. Do you have, as a former player, do you have a guy that's kind of stood out to you?
I mean, Raheem Morris sounds like a good candidate, and Brian Callahan. I think those are the two for me that I felt like, you know, especially, and even Raheem Morris with Brian Callahan. I think the last time I was on, we were talking to a beat writer in Cincinnati, and he was talking about the impact of Callahan in Cincinnati on the locker room, on the quarterback position, on the offense overall, and just hearing how guys respond to him and his leadership abilities and his IQ as well, from an offensive standpoint, you know, and hearing that, but in aligning with the needs of this organization currently, where, you know, you're going to have a new quarterback drafted, we hope, coming in, top pick, that's going to need a lot of development, that's going to need a lot of support. And then just as an organization overall, the Indianapolis coach, what is the direction strategically that you want to go in with your leadership? Do you want more of an offensive-minded coach or more of a defensive-minded coach? I think you lean towards the offensive mind because you have things solidified with the defensive coordinator and Gus Bradley, who's being blocked right now from from opportunities to speak to other things. So if you're holding him hostage, don't put another coach that's the same caliber of skill set in your wheelhouse.
Do the Colts not giving Gus Bradley permission to go out and interview, does that lead you to believe that maybe they're going with an offensive-minded guy as the head coach?
Well, I mean,
versus a defensive-minded guy who's maybe wants his own coordinator or have his own thumbprint on the defense?
Right now, when we're all trying to read in between the lines, I would say yes. I mean, just in what we're seeing in, you know, being speculative, understanding the needs of the organization, what's currently in the cupboard, where the cupboard is bare. You know, and if you look at that and say, Well, they obviously want to retain Gus Bradley if they're blocking him from interviewing from other jobs, and knowing that they want to retain him and he's possibly one day a head coach candidate, well, then that must means that we're leaning more towards an offensive mind, because when you look at this season, the success was mainly on the defensive side of the ball, and I would say with McLaughlin at the kicker, it was with special teams as well. Those were the only bright spots for this. And so there was, you spoke about Aaron Rodgers' darkness retreat. Well, that darkness retreat was with the Colts offense the entirety of this season. There was no light coming into that quarterback room or that offensive line room.
Yeah, I like Raheem Morris as well. I would go Shane Steichen, the Eagles offensive coordinator. He would. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not in those meetings. None of us are in those interviews. We don't know how they've all unfolded, blah, blah, blah. We're just, from a 10,000-foot view. I like Steichen, from what he's been able to do in Philadelphia. Last year they changed up they were struggling 2-5. They changed up kind of the offense. They kind of built it around Hurts instead of trying to fit the square peg into the round hole. And so they changed. He started doing the play calling, and they made some pretty significant changes behind Steichen.
Those are the traits of good coaching, where I have a system that I really want to utilize, but I look at my talent on my roster, and I don't try to conform them to me, but I conform to them. Yeah. And that is a great sign. But then also, like you said, I agree with that as well in terms of that coaching candidate. But that will be telling as well the coaches they bring in, which quarterback are they going to target in the draft, right? If Shane's coming in, is it more of the dual threat? Does that lead us more towards the Alabama quarterback, or is that more of the Kentucky quarterback, Will?
In 30 seconds, Bryce Young, is he too small? He's 5'10".
That is the knock on him, but I'm going to look at his production. Like you
played in the league.
He's
slight. 5'10".
He's slight, but if he is slight and he's crafty and he's smart, he'll reduce those hits that he can possibly take, because he will not last very long if he's being hit consistently in the National Football League. So is it Will Levis that maybe the Colts really, want here, or is it C.J. Stroud? Yeah. Those are the questions that we may have a little more clarity around as we hire that head coach and see what's the history related to that head coach that has an offensive mind.
Boy, it's going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be a fun rest of the month here in Indianapolis, I think, because we are going to get the Colts.
It's so intriguing.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions answered and asked here in the next couple of weeks. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
You don't have to go through yet another year with that knee pain or back pain. Hoosiers with chronic joint pain are getting real lasting relief from QC Kinetics. I'm Kevin Bowen, and you guys know QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. Their unique protocols use healing agents from your own body to target aching joints, repairing and restoring damaged tissue so you can move again with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Got shoulder pain, excruciating hip pain. If you have any arthritis or pain lingering from another injury, don't let them tell you that steroids or surgery or pain pills are your only options. Call QC Kinetics, locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood, and one coming to Carmel as well, and see if their life-changing, all-natural treatments can get you living your best life in the new year. This is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available as soon as the next week. So make 2023 the year you say goodbye to joint pain. Call QC Kinetics today, 317-559-PAIN, Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and coming soon to Carmel. That is QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, over-designed, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code DAX at checkout. That's harrys.com, code DAX. Enjoy.
It's JMV. Did you know the best time to start teaching kids about money is before they start working? In fact, the more children understand about money at an early age, the better equipped they are as adults to make wise financial decisions. Forum Credit Union can help with accounts and resources for every age that teach strong financial habits and offer tools for learning on how to spend and save responsibly. Stop by a branch location today. Tell them that I sent you. That's Forum Credit Union online, forumcu.com.
You're making less than $100,000 in your current job? This message is for you. Mr. Quick is offering a paid apprenticeship to become a heating and AC technician. Get paid $17 an hour to learn a trade that will provide a career for a lifetime. With a six-figure earning potential, you do not want to miss out on this opportunity. Our next class starts February 27th and is filling fast. Mr. Quick is growing, and we want hardworking people like you. Get all the details online at mqjobs.com.
A huge selection of Valentine's Day gifts await at Cynthia's Hallmark on 116th and Allisonville Road, 116th and Brook School Road, 96th and Lantern Road in Fishers, and in Greenfield.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The Pacers head to South Florida to face the Miami Heat. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
.93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Welcome back, along with former Colts defensive back Marlin Jackson. I'm Vince Welch. Of course, the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. It's going to be fun. Eagles and the Chiefs. And the biggest Chiefs fan I know is on the line with us now. That's Clint Bowyer, former NASCAR driver, currently in the broadcast booth for Fox. And Clint, I know you're going to wear that Chiefs jersey proud, right?
You know, the biggest decision is which jersey.
Yeah, which jersey will you wear?
Are you going to be like Jimmy today, who has on the bright yellow Chiefs Kingdom jersey representing Patrick Mahomes?
Our producer's got the yellow Chiefs jersey on today, but you got to go with the red, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Especially, absolutely rolling with red. Here's the thing. Probably the best way I've ever seen anybody take, on that task was Rusty Rush, my old Rush Truck Center's partner and sponsor in my Cup car. Huge Astros fan. And what he would do is, why would you pick? He just wore the whole lineup jersey. As they went down the lineup, he changed his jersey. He actually made his video went viral online. But I'm not going to go to that. So this is what old Clint does. Clint has a god-awful, ugly sports jacket that he bought, one of those loud ones with Chiefs arrowhead all over the Kansas City, right, KC, all over it, just vomited all over it, but it's awesome. And I only bring that jacket out when my team's at the Super Bowl. Well, let me tell you, boys, this thing's starting to look pretty haggard, so that will definitely be on me. I'll probably have my Kelsey jersey on or a Sunday Fun Day T-shirt. That's kind of my go-to at the Super Bowls. That's what I run.
Now, the game starts pretty late in the evening. Are you still going to be upright by then, or you kind of have to pace yourself?
What does the day look like? Is it a celebration all day?
Well, boys, you bring up a good point. Here's the thing about the Super Bowl. By the time you get to the game, kind of like a NASCAR Cup race, by the time you get, if say you went and camped out, tailgated with all your buddies, in the infield of a race in a Winnebago, by the time the race starts, you have endured 2 or 3 days of mass chaos.
Yeah, party.
Super Bowl's no different. Yeah. Massive parties, one after another. You can't turn any of them down. Any hot act in the history of Earth plays, so you can't miss. I have severe FOMO in any kind of condition like this, so yeah, I'm going to all of them, and I'm probably going to be not in the best of shape, but I'm going to be there, and I will be watching.
And watching from a suite, I presume, right? Or do you sit out with? Or you sit out in the stands with the fans?
Damn right.
Oh,
Yeah. You can't.
You're legit. You're legit,
on
Bowyer.
a game this serious, you got to get out there with the Warriors. You got to get out there in the elements and understand what's going on. You can't be distracted with conversations and this things like that.
That sweet life. Yeah. You got to focus, right? You got to focus on the task at hand.
Yeah. It blows my mind. You go to a Super Bowl, right? Tickets are through the roof. I think I saw like the cheapest tickets, like, I don't know, $4,600 or something for maybe, some medium to lower level. And, and the first thing they do is go and conversate. You'll see them in the, in the hallways and stuff like that, and talking and interrupting one another. Like, how do you spend that much money to go to a game and not be paying attention?
Yeah.
This is a battle, boys. It's a war, and I will be in game mode.
Yeah, we were having the conversation earlier about, when you watch the game on TV, and, so many people have Super Bowl parties and stuff, and I might go there early, but when the game starts, I want to be at home watching the game because I got to watch the game, and I can't be doing that if I'm, if there's socializing going on. And
Agreed. I'm a homebody, and I'm locked in, like, limited conversation, enjoying the game. But yes, you like to focus, especially with a game that is at the magnitude of the Super Bowl. It is the pinnacle of the National Football League, so we have to pay close attention and enjoy.
Here's the only thing that sucks about the Super Bowl too. I mean, let's start over. When you're fortunate enough to have a team that tends to go quite often, such as me and the Chiefs,
you're spoiled.
You go to the Super Bowl, and it's not like Arrowhead where it's 95%, Chiefs fans. You don't have to worry about some schmuck sitting next to you and bothering you with some sort of opponent team. At Super Bowl, I mean, there's a blend. Most of them are going to be Chiefs fans, obviously, the ones with any intelligence, but there's a chance that some Eagle might.
You're with the feisty bunch there.
Oh, the Eagle fans are loud and proud too now.
Feisty bunch, those Philadelphia Eagle fans. So just be safe, right? Let's use our conflict resolution.
You got a big guy going with you, Clint, to keep. Are you Eric Stone Street? You're not taking him with you for security, are you?
So he will definitely be there. Speaking of Warriors, he's there, battle tested. He'll be there. All the guys, man, that's what's cool about, the Kansas City area. I mean, I didn't grow up in Kansas City, but right outside of it, and tons of friends there. And it's just, I will say this. I've been to other ballparks. I've been to, obviously we live in North Carolina. I've been to the Panthers, and the number one takeaway from all of it that I have to tell people, I'm like, you really don't even understand what the atmosphere is all about. It's no different than a NASCAR race. It can't just be a race. It has to have the atmosphere, and the fan base creates that atmosphere. The tailgating scenario that only Arrowhead produces because of that massive parking lot that it shares with Kaufman, it's insane. I mean, I've seen people not even make it to the games before. It is all hands on deck, wide open chaos. The only one that would even remotely come close to a Chiefs fan base would be, the Maniacs up in Buffalo. They know how to do it. I at least respect that one. But I think these Philly team, these Philly guys, the biggest thing is for me, I want them to keep chirping because for some reason that fuels the fire with our boys. And the last two teams that come in to chirp and went home with their tail between the legs.
Oh, and you chirp pretty well yourself. I mean, that's part of the fun, though, isn't it?
100%.
100%.
So, no, who's going with me to go back to your question is my wife. And she'll either be telling me to, stop, the whole game, or be egging me on. You know them wives are.
Yeah, I'd like to have a 10 spot.
They're telling you you're embarrassing them. The next thing you know, somebody chirps one over, some comment over your way, and they're like, "Oh yeah," now they're on your side.
Yeah, I'd like to have a 10 spot for every time she says, "Clint, stop it." We're visiting with Clint Bowyer, former NASCAR driver and current NASCAR broadcaster for Fox, and super uber Kansas City Chiefs fan, and I know looking forward to going to the game in Arizona this weekend. I saw that the Super Bowl, and this fits right in with you, brings the super jet setters as well. More than 4,000 additional takeoffs and landings around the airports there in Phoenix. Over 1,000 private planes expected. Who all you taking on your G5 with you?
I sold my plane, believe it or not. So, man, I'm slumming. I'm with everybody else. I'm taking the good old-fashioned American Airlines.
Oh, you are not.
Yes, I'm rolling. I kind of like that anyway on a deal like this because
it's part of the experience.
I flew to Kansas last time, and we had all these. There were Jacksonville fans, and then they were Cincinnati fans, and oh my gosh, they run their mouth the whole time, the whole flight there. You know how quiet that plane was, other than old Clint on the way home? That was fun. Now, if something would have happened and we lost, there's no chance. I'd have chartered a plane.
Oh, and if presuming, we'll presume, for your sake that the Chiefs win, do you get the invite to the Chiefs post-game celebration party?
Well, the last time we won in Miami, and I posted it on Twitter the other day, and I didn't realize what I had done. It was me and Stone Street. Stoney was at the post party, and we were getting the hourglass was getting pretty thin on the top, if you know what I mean.
And for those that don't know, Eric,
6:30 in the morning, I was like,
6:30.
No looked that bad.
And for those that don't know, Eric Stone Street plays Cam on Modern Family. You'd know him. Huge Chiefs fan, and it looks like the two of you might be able to get in a little trouble.
Oh yeah, Stoney's a good guy. We have a lot of fun. Just massive talent and extremely funny. Kansas guy, went to K-State and drove through my part of the country a lot, and just share that in common, the love of our state, love of our teams, and both of us are capable of, believe it or not, having a good time.
Yeah. Now, is he funny? I always wonder about this, like people that are funny on TV. I mean, he's obviously a very successful actor, Modern Family, incredible show. He's got plays a great character on there. But are people that are funny on TV for their job in real life, is he still funny?
He's similar.
Well, here's the thing. I've been on the road a long time. You know that. Yeah. A lot of people. And that's a valid question. Every once in a great moon, you'll come across somebody that you think, man, they were just so funny, but was it all scripted? Was it all wrote? Every now and then you'll see that. But if somebody's making a living in comedy and moreover making a living in live comedy on television, they're pretty damn funny. My man Eric, he will have you in shambles. He's quick, he's witty, and I mean that's just they're the best. That's why they're on TV.
Hey, speaking of funny, watching The Clash the other night, you and Tony Stewart, Mike Joy in the booth, and Gwen Stefani is in there with you. And was Stewart was he dumbfounded or what? I've never heard seen Tony a loss for words.
Well, buddy, Blake and Gwen, they come. Blake's a huge race fan, supported me over the years, and Blake Shelton. And Gwen Stefani came last year, knew she was coming again this year. She liked it, dug the race a year ago, and wanted to come back. So I thought that was really cool. We always have Blake on. He always makes fun of me. I didn't want to have Blake Shelton on anymore. I knew what was going to happen. He was going to make fun of me. So
Such an easy target, though.
You're out. I would like to have, and last I checked, it's like Beauty and the Beast. Nobody wants to see that. They want to see her.
They want to see.
So I said, Gwen, what do you think? We come on? Just come on for a little bit. No way, you're crazy. I don't know anything about racing. Like that'll be the last thing I, talk about. I just want to know, what kind of driver you are. We'll just keep it fun. Well, little did I know, she's just like Blake. Turns out she lives with him, has the same sarcasm. She goes going down the path of telling on old Clint, maybe being overserved at one of their parties and showing out a little bit. Starts telling out on live. I'm like, Gwen, whoa. This is my job here. This is backfiring on me bad right before everybody's very eyes. And so that happened. Clint's getting a little bit nervous up there, trying to deflect obviously, trying to maybe close the conversation and move on with Gwen Stefani. Maybe it wasn't the best idea for Clint. It was the best idea for everybody else. Next thing I know, I look over and I'm out of questions, guys. I mean, I've thrown everything at it I know to try to keep it conversational. And my man, Tony Stewart, the big bad wolf that everybody knows, you know, the almighty Tony Stewart, he can't find one question asked. I'm elbowing him. I'm, you know, trying to.
Was he in awe?
I'm eyeing him. I'm like, Tony, like, what, something? And he just kept shaking his head. She walked out the door, and he's like, I couldn't say a word. I think I was starstruck. I was like, really? You don't say. It was so funny.
Well, it was good stuff, and it was an entertaining show, and I know that it's a big week for you guys this weekend because you're going to be in Arizona for the Super Bowl and then the following weekend in Daytona for the Daytona 500. So wish you the best. Thanks for coming on and spending a few minutes with us. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you down the road sometime soon.
Man, you brought it up. I appreciate the time. Obviously, big weekend for the Super Bowl on Fox, but, you know, our day job, that Daytona 500, it's going to be a big one. There's a lot of big champion names that have never won that race, and all eyes are on it. So make sure you tuned in, everybody. It's going to be a good one.
Appreciate you, Clint. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
That's Clint Bowyer, and he is a good dude, man. I tell you what, there is not a party that he won't.
It sounds like he's ready
into. Yeah.
For this Sunday. He's going to have a great time.
He is not intimidated by any
Arizona.
party. Yeah,
He's ready.
And his buddy Blake Shelton, you know, you've got those guys together. That's a group now.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah, they'll have fun. That's for sure. And I appreciate him spending some time with us. Just a good dude all the way around. You know, we were laughing about kind of poking fun at the jet setters, you know, that are flying in for the Super Bowl, and you know, and I've spent a lot of time in that area. I didn't realize they have 8 airports there.
Yeah,
that will take flights in for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I actually, so Arizona, Phoenix area, that's where I stayed, trained out there. Facility called Athletes Performance is where I spent a ton of time out there. So it's a beautiful place. It's a fun city. It's a little spread out, but I think it's a great host city for a Super Bowl, and Clint and everybody else there, and AZ, they're going to have a phenomenal time, you know, living it up in that big city.
Man, and that place is going to be jumping this weekend, not just because of the Super Bowl, but the Phoenix Open, the PGA Tour event is there this weekend as well.
It is a fun-filled, action-packed sports weekend.
If you don't have your rental car reservation by now, you can forget
it. It's going to be
tough. That's for sure. There is not going to be anything available. Are you a golfer?
Not really. I mean, I play from time to time, but I'm not any good.
Yeah.
I don't play consistently enough to be good at golf. That is a sport where you have to play in order to have any success.
Some people just are naturally gifted at it, but it's a man, that's one of those games that, but even those that are great, they are diligent about their work to keep those skill sets sharp. That I always find that interesting when you see a professional who kind of falls off. You know, it's like even as great as the professionals are, they still get in slumps or they drop. Who was it that won the tournament at Pebble Beach this weekend? I think it was his first win in 4 years.
Wow.
So
I prefer a good scramble, where it's good company.
Yeah.
and we're outside, we're having fun. That's the golf that I may hit a few good shots. My ball may be used 1 or 2 times, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm with you there because, you know, I can hit it left, I can hit it right. Rarely hit it down the middle, but don't feel bad at all when it's a scramble. That's what somebody else does. Just make a putt or two, and you'll be fine.
Be a contributor. That is the goal when it's a scramble.
Have you seen this thing on this show on Netflix? You do Netflix?
I do. My wife does more than I do, but yeah, sometimes I partake in it with her.
It's called Human Playground. Okay. And it's a show. It's kind of more documentary style of kind of breaking the pain barrier, and it's along the philosophy of, you know, what doesn't kill you makes you strong. You know, kind of thing. But for instance, they have a woman a bit on there about a woman that swims in freezing water to
trying to test your limits.
Yeah, her name is Kiki Boss. Dives under the ice in the sub-zero temperatures, and she'd been through a lot of personal trauma in her life, and it's painful. I mean, it's not an easy thing to endure being underwater for almost a minute in freezing temperatures. But it's an interesting read. They've got one of the it's like maybe three storylines in an hour, where they show different stories of different people. One of them was a week-long foot race through the desert. 1,000 started, only 40 finished. But this particular episode,
a physical competition, but really a competition of the mind.
Yeah, in this particular episode,
willpower.
A lady was kind of focused on a lady who was doing this race despite being an amputee. She'd had her left leg amputated below the knee, and just interesting stuff. If you get a chance to check it out on Netflix, it's called Human Playground, and it's documentary, but it's I think if you have any sort of a sports background or sports mindset, you will find it interesting.
Yeah,
interesting
I'm
to
gonna
check
add that
out.
to our list. Tell my wife about that tonight. We'll definitely check that out.
Last 5 Super Bowls, Rams beat the Bengals 23-20. And in 21, the Bucks beat the Chiefs 31-9. Do you anticipate the Chiefs-Eagles being more of a game that's like a 23-20, game maybe that's a field goal game, or do you anticipate it being more like a 31-9 game where one team has dominated the other?
Definitely not lopsided. But I think both of these teams will put up points, especially the Eagles. Not a spoiler alert. I'm going to be picking the Eagles for this weekend's game.
Why?
They're just complete. Offensively, when it comes to their offensive line, obviously the quarterback position, very strong at running back, and then at wide receiver, 2 of the top wide receivers in the National Football League, and A.J. Brown being the top guy on that roster. And then even with that, the offensive talent, you have the offensive scheme. I think they totally keep teams off balance with their running attack led by the quarterback. Anytime that you have a guy like that has the ability to create or have design runs for him, it puts the defense at a deficit, and then just his accuracy and the big play ability with the play action when they're able to get big shots over the top. They're just difficult to stop, and it's difficult to even just slow them down. And then defensively, up front from Brandon Graham to Ndamukong Suh and others, which was a move that they made earlier in the season to bring him in. They just have what it takes to win in terms of football. Always starts up front, and for them, the strengths of those of the offense and the defense are the offensive line and the defensive lines, and their secondary full of playmakers on the back end, starting with Darius Slay, big play Slay. So for that reason, I would have to go with them. But that doesn't take anything away from what Kansas City brings to the table. What we know, one of my favorite quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey at the tight end position. They have a great young running back that has emerged this season, and they have enough threats at the wide receiver position. And, losing their top threat, the Cheetah, last season and still being as productive as they are is phenomenal. I mean, I think their defensive line as well is the anchor of their defense, and it all starts there, which was why they, in my opinion, won that game last week. The performance of the guys up front and getting pressure on the quarterback, but very evenly matched teams, and I think this will be an evenly matched game that comes down to the fourth quarter and a handful of plays that decides the game.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean that 31-9, back in the 2021 game, Bucks over the Chiefs, certainly.
No, you hate to see that. Anytime it's a championship game,
you want it down to the wire.
You don't want it like the national championship game this past season, right? I mean, that was the biggest dud, right, for TCU to be able to beat Michigan and then come in and lay a total egg and be just totally outmatched, right, going up against Georgia. That was kind of just deflating for that whole format of the college football playoff to say this was the final product that we were served. Right. And we don't want that same feeling of being the letdown from the entertainment value that's being produced and put on display.
Man, I hope not. I'm with you. I hope it's just right down to the wire. Last year, Rams beat the Bengals 23-20. Sean McVay became the youngest coach to win the Super Bowl at 36 years of age. The previous year, Bruce Arians with the Bucs became the oldest coach to win the Super Bowl. And, of course, Andy Reid has been there, done that with KC. Sirianni with an opportunity to get his first as a head coach. So
former
a lot of different storylines.
Former Colts offensive coordinator, Sirianni. So, yeah, I mean, it's lots of great storylines within this matchup. You know, first time two African-American quarterbacks are going to be going head-to-head in the Super Bowl. You have Andy Reid, who's been on both sidelines and been successful at both. He's gone to the Super Bowl with the Eagles and lost to the Patriots. And now this is multiple times that he's gone with the Chiefs. So I'm sure he has a lot of emotions. And even his staff, I know the training staff is the same training staff that was in Philadelphia when I was there. So just lots of storylines throughout this game. But I think we ended up with the best two teams in the National Football League as the matchup for this game.
When you went to the Super Bowl with the Colts, were you able to enjoy the experience of it being the Super Bowl, or are you just so locked in on the task at hand that you can't really enjoy it as much?
You enjoyed some of it.
Yeah.
You know, as Clint mentioned, like it's a total party, right? The entire week. But as a player, obviously that's not what you're there for. And maybe when you first get there,
because you get down there like a
week,
a week ahead of time,
a week in advance. So, you know, those first couple of days where you may partake and get out and about, but after that, I mean, it's lock-in time. We're in our normal routine in terms of our scheduling and our practice and our regimen in terms of working out, meals, all of those types of things. But every team is different. It's all dependent upon your leadership. Like some teams may give you a little more leeway, a little more free time. But you can imagine, you know, some of the guys that you've mentioned, not even just our coaching staff, but guys like Peyton, Jeff Saturday, made sure that everybody was locked in and prepared and ready to go. No distractions.
Would Peyton get on the defensive guys too?
Peyton would speak to any and everybody. And so, like, that's the thing that, like, I've learned about leadership. Like, sometimes leadership is not about warm and fuzzy. Like, sometimes leadership will poke and prod and nudge and rub people the wrong way. But then in hindsight, you look back and you say, oh, they were actually right, right? You know, that is, for me, that's one of the true aspects of leadership is the courage and confidence to no matter what everybody else thinks, I see something and I'm going to stand on it. And Peyton was one of those guys where you may not have always agreed with the method in the moment, but when hindsight was 20/20, and said, dang, that was actually the right decision that was made.
And he had, and he's certainly not the only one that's ever done it, but, and, you know, we talked a lot about Tom Brady, et cetera, but he backed it up. I mean, you know, it's one thing to talk the talk, but when you walk the walk.
That's the only way that anybody will follow is when you back it up.
Yeah.
Like when it comes down to when we're in workouts and you're not just telling everybody, hey, great effort. We see you first in line with the quarterbacks. We see you last to leave the building. We see you prior to a game in your locker, still studying tape, still looking at notes. That's what true leadership is, action and words aligned.
Good stuff. Hey, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and it's going to be a great chat with it's a father. If you're a dad, you want to hear this because it's a great story that's happening this weekend at the Super Bowl, and we'll dive into it when we come back. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Why does We Grow Hair Indy have the best hair transplant results? Because they have the best technology. And I'm living proof of it. Hey, this is JMV. We Grow Hair Indy has the technology that restored both my bald spot in my crown area and PRP to keep my hairline and non-transplanted hair looking good. This year, they can restore your bald spot and your hairline. Call 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Here's Darren Andrews to explain.
Having that strong hairline again completely changes the way you see yourself. It makes a huge difference. A lot of people think the crown cannot be transplanted. It's actually an area of specialty for us with our multi-unit hair grafting.
My hair is going to grow the rest of my life, and that's exactly what I want. Call 317-522-2995 to schedule your free evaluation. That's 317-522-2995, and check out my results at WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard in hair restoration.
Guys, the party tonight is at Dancers Show Club on West Washington Street. Dancers is Indy's premier gentlemen's club. It's just minutes from downtown, the airport, and the track, so you're never far from the action. 3 main stages, the most entertainers, sports on the big screens, bottle service, weekly specials on food and drink, and 8,000 square feet of fun. Bachelor parties, divorce parties, birthday parties. Whatever the occasion, the party is at Dancers Show Club. Open till 3 a.m. 7 days a week. DancersShowClub.com.
Hey, JMV here for the absolute best in plumbing. That's Lance and his local team at L.D. Smith Plumbing. The only plumber in Indy to call. They're your hero because Lance and his local team will take care of you. Any plumbing issue and especially plumbing emergencies. Clogged drains, leaky faucets, water heaters. They do it all. The absolute best, and especially with your plumbing emergencies. Lance and his local team with L.D. Smith Plumbing. Check them out online today, ldsmithplumbing.com.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like Reinhardt Heating and Cooling? Well, find that American Standard dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Pretty legendary evening inside Assembly Hall.
An unbelievable performance.
Round number 1 going to IU.
We stayed composed in that second half.
Trey Galloway of the Indiana Hoosiers.
We knew they were going to fight back.
Purdue just didn't get the scoring.
If you're talking about it.
Trace Jackson Davis, 5 blocks. How does Indiana react?
We're talking about it.
That is the 4th time in Assembly Hall history that a number 1 ranked team has come in and lost.
Your home for Indy sports. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. .5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Great to have you with us on this Wednesday as we close up here in the final 30 minutes along with Marlin Jackson. I'm Vince Welch and want to bring on Randy Brown. Randy is specialist coach for the Baltimore Ravens, works with the kicker Justin Tucker, who happens to be best in the league, maybe best ever. Won the Super Bowl with the Ravens back in 2013. Been in this business a long time. But what's really cool, I think, about this story, not just Randy's accomplishments, but his son, Tyler Brown, is the Eagles kicking specialist coach. And so, Randy, great to have you with us. Man, what a proud dad moment this is for you, I'm guessing.
Well, hello, Vince, Marlin, go Blue. Really, yeah, it is, Vince. Well, first off, thanks for having me on. It's my first time I've been on an Indianapolis radio station, so just don't ask me anything about IndyCar stuff. I have no idea, all right? We could talk Ravens football, NFL, and of course, Michigan football, just not IndyCar. It's amazing. It's really, when you try to put the odds together, what the chances of a father-son coaching in a Super Bowl for 2 different teams, 10 years apart, I think you have much of a chance to win Powerball.
Are you more nervous for your son coaching in the Super Bowl or when you were coaching in the Super Bowl?
No, this is awful. This is awful. It's like, I don't care. I coached my kid growing up in all the sports. My 2 girls are 15 and 17. I've coached them in all the sports, and we won a heck of a lot of rec basketball games and soccer games. But, go back 3 weeks. I'm on the sidelines. We lose to Cincinnati in that heart-wrenching game, and I felt awful. But, you don't feel as anxious when you're going into games and you have control of the game, to an extent, right? Yeah. Marlon, as a player, us coaches sometimes believe we have more control than we really do, and sometimes we really do have a lot of control. So, but now as a dad, after that game, after we lost that game and being on the field, a pre-game of the Giants playoff game and then last week's game, I'm just turned into be dad now. So now I'm dad and yeah, it's brutal. I wish the game could be over and we win.
As I was listening to you, I was sitting here thinking, is which hat are you wearing when you're having conversations in the mix of, the coach that's been there and the dad that's cheering on his son, and what is the advice that you're giving to him when you're wearing both of those hats?
So, Marlin, you've won a Super Bowl too, so you know what the week is like. My son was fortunate enough to be with me when we won the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game. My son spent about 100 NFL games with us at the Ravens just because the great John Harbaugh allowed kids to be around. He was our ball boy. So, he got to experience the week from that side, but he didn't get the experience we as a coach. So, honestly, it started last week. We started talking about the Chiefs. Obviously, we played them a lot. So, I have some football background with that. We started talking football. And then when he left Sunday, there was no more football to talk. And it was, okay, how are we going to enjoy every moment? Document, write a diary, do a video diary, have something when it's 10 years from now that you can look back and really cherish these moments because, as we know, Marlon, it's never guaranteed that you're ever going back to another Super Bowl.
And, we should point out that Tyler's kicker, if you will, Jake Elliott, he's had two of the best seasons of his career under Tyler's guidance. So the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
Right. Effective coaching.
Well, thanks for saying that. You know what, Marlon and Vince, you guys have been around sports a long time, right? Great players make great coaches. All right. Justin Tucker makes me look like I'm just the best kicking coach around. But what I found in my 20 years in National Football League, it's the combination of great players, great coaches, and that players that want to get better, okay? And there are some players which just want to shut us out as coaches, and they play on the contract they're in, and that's, okay, we're good. But then there's many of the others, and probably the majority, Marlon could test it more than me probably, it's some of these players, if they find a coach that can help them get that next contract, that can help them exceed on the field, they buy into your information, which after 15 seasons in Baltimore, we have found. I mean, we've between Jerry Rossford, John Harbaugh, Chris Horton, and myself, we've produced top 5 special teams for the better part of the last 15 seasons because we have our players buy in and we can make our guys better and they make us better. I mean, I learn from Tucker every week I'm out there. Don't let him know I said that. But you know what I mean, Marlon? Really, we build off each other.
You're hitting the nail right on top of the head because it's the mindset, right, within the relationship. Whereas a player, I have a growth mindset. I don't see myself as a completed project, and I'm open to learning, which makes me receptive to the teaching of my coach. And that combination of still eager to learn, even though I have a high skill set, right, that eagerness to learn, but then just the ability to apply what's being learned in real time and to not lose that desire to better myself. And that allows and opens up the door for a coach to be effective. And I think what you said, that's the mindset of the majority of players that play in the National Football League and on the collegiate level is understanding, the relationship and the dynamics between that player and that coach, and being on that journey and having won a Super Bowl, and then think about that journey that you were on, and what did you do to prepare your son over the span of your time together growing up to be successful in these sorts of moments?
So I put him in every, I was coaching Chicago Bears 1998, 1999 with Dave Wannstedt and Dick Duran, two of the best men you'll ever meet. And my son was 7 and 8. Well, guess where my son was? He was at practice with us. He was on the sidelines for games. A picture with him and Troy Aikman, who didn't play a game in 98. As I told you before, he spent 100 games with me, at least on the sideline. I made him be a football kid. Why? Because he wanted to. And he wanted to learn. He wanted to be part of it. I don't think either of us, if you would have asked us 20 years ago, would we both be coaching in the National Football League? No, I thought I was going to be a head high school football coach. I didn't think I was going to be this. And he came out of college. He was a PE teacher at Berlin Elementary School here in New Jersey. So it's just where our paths have taken us. And to go back to what you had asked about Jake, I think the success of Jake, it's number one is his confidence. Tyler has helped instill that. But they clean the operation up. They clean the snap. They clean the hold up. And, practice is maybe a little different than it was before. Film study is a little different than it was before. So it's more than just teaching a different swing. It's all those aspects. What's your sleep pattern? What's your health? What do you do in the weight room? What are you doing in the off season? Are you playing golf? Are you not playing golf? All of these factors go into us having successful kickers.
I'm just getting excited right now and listening to you because it's the underestimated aspect of athletics. It's everything that you spoke to is the preparation, right, and the evaluation to understand what is effective and what is not, and then to come up with a plan to produce. And that is the quality of great coaching, of great leadership, but in players to have that growth mindset and be open-minded to getting better. And that's why you have organizations like the Baltimore Ravens and now what we're seeing with the Philadelphia Eagles that are extremely successful. And we'll throw in our alma mater, the University of Michigan, as well. That's why we are all successful, is because of that dynamic between our coaches and our players.
And if I can add to that, when you coach for John Harbaugh, you coach for Jim Harbaugh. I've got 18 seasons staying on the sidelines with John. I've obviously known Jim for 25 years, and Tyler's been with Jim. You better be detail-oriented, okay? If John comes in and asks you to teach him the technique for the right end on field goal against a 6x4 rush and that outside end and the corner and the safety are outside of him, how are you blocking him? You better be detail-oriented. Well, we expect the same of our players. If I bring Justin in or Sam Cook at the time or Jordan Stout, they're like, give us the exact detail. Where is that hand? Where's that foot? To me, that's how you continue to become successful, which is the detail-oriented in the offseason and the regular season. So, Marlon, if you can still run like a 4.4, maybe about 22 miles per hour, might be able to let you cover some kicks next year.
Yeah, only when I'm asleep. I have dreams of I'm still running that fast, but that's about it.
We're visiting with Randy Brown. He's the Baltimore Ravens kicking coach for Justin Tucker, 15 years in the league in the NFL, won the Super Bowl with the Ravens in 2013. His son, Tyler Brown, is the Eagles kicking coach and the Eagles kicker, Jake Elliott. Would you rather, as dad, are you going to be excited or will you hate it if it comes down to an Eagles field goal to win the Super Bowl?
No, I want the game to come down to Jake because I know he's ready for that moment. He's played in this game before. He practices well. That's what I want. I mean, people ask me many times, why is Justin Tucker so good? Because he's the Mariano Rivera. He's the Michael Jordan. He wants the ball at the end of the game. No one else should get the ball but him. And Jake has that same mindset. So to me, what would be better? Kick a walk-off field goal like Adam Vinatieri did before. Let's go kick a walk-off 38-yarder right hash, win the game, and we all get a Super Bowl trophy and a great win. That's how I love to see it. I don't want some 41-7 boring game, unless the Eagles, of course, are winning 41-7 and we win the Super Bowl. But yeah,
we were talking about that earlier, just hoping it's a good, close game. You don't really have a dog in the fight. You just want it to be a good game and take it right down to the end. Speaking of the Super Bowl, when you guys were there, the Ravens in 2013 in New Orleans, that was the blackout game, right?
Yeah, yes, it was.
So what happens there when the stadium loses the electricity? Take us inside what happened with the team there.
So, we come out at half. Jacoby Jones runs kickoff. We're up big, and we're just standing there. Next thing you know, a bank of the lights go out, and we don't know what happened, right? We're expecting it to go on and off real quick, especially with all these, the light shows they have. We didn't think it was planned. Beyonce had just literally come off. And then they're not coming on. And then you're thinking, are we going to finish this game? Because then we start talking the sidelines. Are we really going to finish? Now, remember, Marlon, we have the 31-minute halftime to begin with, right? And we had an older team back then. We had Ray and Ed and Haloti and these guys and Matt Burke who were an older team. So we were like, when are they going to restart this game? And, it was a little nerve-wracking because we lost all momentum once those lights came back on again. And thankfully, the game wasn't a little longer than that because I don't know if it would have ended the way that it did, but it was bizarre.
Very bizarre and unsettling. So I have to ask. My son is a Baltimore Ravens fan, and he loves Lamar Jackson. Next season, do you think that Lamar Jackson will still be a Baltimore Raven.
So this is the great part, right? I coach specialists and I coach special teams. I know that Justin Tucker is under contract. and in the off season next, and in training camp, I'd love to see you and your son come to training camp and hopefully meet whoever's playing for us at the time. So, it's I've learned a long time ago in this league, Marlon, you stay right into your little wheelhouse there, and mine is coaching specialist.
Man, did you hear how Randy? Randy avoided that question? I mean, he used to be a mayor.
I say he should be a politician because that was a lesson right there.
What town was it you were the mayor of, Randy?
So I was born and raised here in Marlton, New Jersey. We have 50,000 people.
My family lives in Marlton, New Jersey.
You're kidding me. No
Marco Jackson, Ellen Jackson, Mackenzie Jackson, they live in Marlton, New Jersey. When I played for the Eagles, I spent a ton of time in Marlton, New Jersey. Marco is a McDonald's All-American going to University of Kansas next season.
Wow. Well, off the air, send me their address, and I'll say hello. So I was the mayor from 2007 to 2018, so they must have bragged about they had the best mayor in America while you were over here with the Eagles in 2010.
Awesome. Small world.
That's good stuff.
It really is. It's a small world. It's great. So different now. We got the Chickies and Pete's. We got the Carlos Bakeries of the world. We got a lot of great things here in Marlton. So it was a great time in my life. I loved it. And when you're the mayor of the town that you grew up in, there's not much better except maybe your son winning the Super Bowl.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, father winning the Super Bowl, son winning the Super Bowl, that'd be pretty cool. We wish you the best, Randy, and good luck to Tyler and the Eagles. And we'll be thinking about you when Jake Elliott trots out there at the end of the game to kick that game winner.
Yep, and I'll be just as nervous as anybody else will be. And but, hey, let's stay in touch. Marlon, Vince has my contact info. I'd love to talk to you afterwards.
Awesome.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's Randy Brown, the Ravens kicking coach, and the best kicker. I mean, it will rival Vinatieri, I think. Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker ever. Of course, the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2013, and then to have your son be on the coaching staff of a team in the Super Bowl too, and a potential winner. What a neat story that is. Father-son relationship and the pride that a dad has. Hey, we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about, Jimmy's a gambling expert. So if you get the duffel bag of cash out, and
let's go.
Jimmy will have his bets for tonight, and maybe we'll even throw out a couple of prop bets that we'll want to keep our eye on for the Super Bowl on Sunday. With Marlin Jackson, I'm Vince Welch. You're listening to 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
When 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning shows up at your doorstep, you can expect a friendly, knowledgeable, and prepared technician to handle the task at hand. Getting your service done correctly and on time is our priority. Visit 1hourairindy.com to book an appointment online and save $90 off your next repair.
Hey, it's Dan Dockage for Affinity Whole Health. Guys, do something for yourselves. Go to feelgreatindy.com. I'm on a testosterone replacement program with Affinity. Let me tell you, the benefits are amazing. Go to feelgreatindy.com. That's feelgreatindy.com.
And JMV for the absolute best in realty, Mark Dietel, Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232, markdietel.com, markdietel.com. Today, nobody does it better than Mark. In fact, he's going to give you this guarantee, an offer within 3 days, full market value, or he's going to list it for free. Think about this for a moment. Judy in Greenfield was moving out of town and needed to sell fast. Also needed all the equity for the new place. So what happened? Went with the best. That's Mark Dietel of Mark Dietel Realty. Got the job done once again, just like with Judy. Mark will get it done for you. That's Mark Dietel of Mark Dietel Realty. 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com. That's markdietel.com today.
Hey, Indy. Tim Pierson here, founder of Chattanooga Whiskey, the only Tennessee high malt. We all want to know what craft really means. The definition of craft bourbon is Chattanooga whiskey. Our people, our recipe, our bourbon. We spent years perfecting a style of bourbon that no other distillery can make except for Chattanooga whiskey. We call it Tennessee High Malt, and it's the dark chocolate to every other bourbon's milk chocolate. So next time you want something truly craft, drink Chattanooga whiskey, enjoy responsibly.
JMV here for Get 'em Associates. 2023 is going to be that year for that custom remodel. So you stayed in your home during the housing boom or bought that home knowing you wanted to make that one change. Jason Get 'em and his team will provide a consultation about your custom remodel, interior and exterior, kitchens and baths, screen porches, and more. That's Get 'em Associates. 35 years of experience serving Central Indiana. Check their Google reviews and find them online. That's getem.com, GETTUM.com. Tell them JMV sent you.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today. Based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
From the thrilling action on the court to the pure energy in the crowd, the excitement is real inside Gamebridge Fieldhouse this season. Turner the rebound, puts it in! A 40-point night for Miles Turner. A team that never quits and a crowd that never sits. Nembhard shoots it again, count it again. Together, we are revved up.
Your Indiana Pacers look to cool down the Phoenix Suns on Friday at 7. Get your tickets at Pacers.com. Pacers Suns, Friday at 7.
JMV here for my guys, John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air Conditioning. The groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter, and you need to make sure your furnace is safe, efficient, and working properly before you have a breakdown on a sub-zero day. Get the recommended service now from Love Heating and Air Conditioning, and the Love family will waive the $95 trip and diagnostic fee. These are the guys I trust in my home. I love the guys at Love. You will too. That's love-hvac.com or 317-754-0754. Tell them JMV sent you.
Shop Grand Appliance for the lowest prices and up to $2,000 back on top appliance brands like KitchenAid. Learn more at grandappliance.com. Grand Appliance, expert since 1930.
The Pacers head to South Florida to face the Miami Heat. Tonight at 7 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
.93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Great to have you with us, 107.5 The Fan with Marlin Jackson. I'm Vince Welch. Hey, it's been fun today.
Yeah, it's been great. Great job quarterbacking today.
Been
nice
good
to be in the passenger seat, riding along with you.
It's been a blast, and hopefully maybe even get the chance to do it again. And I've certainly enjoyed your insight. Great stuff all day long, and particularly not just on the football side, but particularly some of the Colts conversation, the in the locker room stuff that a lot of people aren't privy to. I hope that those listening have had a chance to tune that in today. Super Bowl this weekend. We were talking about a couple of the prop bets. You know, which player will score the game's first touchdown, the Hurts or Mahomes, who's, the passing yards, high, over, under, this, that, and the other. Who's going to be the MVP? Those are kind of some of the normals. But I like opening kickoff. Will it be a touchback or not?
Oh, I'm going touchback for sure.
The kickers, they all.
And nowadays, I'm going touchback.
So here's your caution to that, because we've talked about it, and Pat McAfee has mentioned this before. That's a ceremonial ball they use for the first kickoff. We don't have a lot of time to dive into it. I don't know what the numbers are, but more often than not, it's actually not a touchback because of that ball is different than the ball they're going to use to I don't know if it's the weight of it or what it is,
interesting.
but it's a ceremonial ball.
That's
So
interesting.
it doesn't travel as far.
Right.
Hey, when you guys won the Super Bowl, do you remember what color of the Gatorade that was dumped on Tony Dungy?
I don't. I have coming to mind. Orange is what I
Orange?
want to say.
Because you can bet on that too. The
My
color
God,
of the Gatorade that gets dumped
you can
on.
bet on the color of the Gatorade.
Hey, we're right in Jimmy's wheelhouse now, and you got some bets for us for tonight.
The Jay Cook Plays of the Day.
This is me, all right? I'm not an athlete. This is my way. This is how I win.
Today's plays of the day, we're going to take the Pacers to win the money line against the Miami Heat. Also going to take the Creighton Blue Jays to win the money line against Seton Hall. And then a golf bet for you, taking Scotty Scheffler to get a top 10 finish at the Waste Management Open. 1-1 yesterday, 3-1 on the week. Plays on Twitter at the Jay Cook.
How about that? That's the way a pro does it right there.
A high-level pro.
Got to be efficient. Got to get in there.
He's the man.
Betting golf, that's got to be. I mean,
Gives you something to cheer on all weekend.
You are on top of it if you
have so many ways in which you can spend your money.
Yes,
it takes me too much to get it. I don't want to give it away.
I'm not a gambler. I'm not a gambler.
Enough.
I stopped gambling after I lost in 2006 the Michigan Ohio State game. I lost a big bet to Mike Doss.
And was that a monetary?
It was a monetary wager,
Yeah.
and ended up on the wrong end of it, and I was done after that.
Yeah, it only takes once to kind of sour you on something like that. Hey, thanks again for being with us, spending your Wednesday with us. Just had I thought, entertaining show. It was entertaining for my spot anyway. I certainly enjoyed it. And thanks to Stephen Bardo, who joined us to talk about IU basketball. We had Kristen Airy on, Clint Bowyer, and Randy Brown to talk about the great story about his son being the coach on the Philadelphia Eagles specialists. So keep an eye on that. JMV is coming up next. Thanks for listening to 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Alec Pierce.